Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queuing. H 2.0. Yeah. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Welcome to the Queendom, H 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and realize. So if you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me me. Unleash the dragon.
Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
Headlines screaming, but what's real? Headlines screaming, but what's real? Erica Kirk went live, now the net on fire. Talking I'm targeted, but the tone getting dire. Called out Drewski, said white face play. Internet pause like wait, say that again, run it back. Expression got clipped, now the clips go viral. Common section turning into full-blown trial. Some say mock, some say reaching for views, but one wrong stream got it deep in the news. Boom, live with left. This ain't news, it's warfare. Names on the board, yeah they all there. Truth gets twisted in a cold glare. But the people still watch, still aware. Speaking like Johnson can't hold the flow. No beat split, can't agree no more. 75 days shut down, drag, now the house locked up like a body bag. Yo, feed them caucus, they cake that chair. On pretty pressure, yes, all there. 2 weeks gone, Congress on pause. While the country looking like, what's the cause? What? Case on the docket, maps get redrawn. Cali, Louisiana got the section gone. Section 2 hit, now the guardrail broke. Whole communities feel that stroke. 63, yeah, the ruling land. Shifting power with a single hand. Voices risk getting cut from the map. Call it legal, but it hit like a trap. We see it.
They redraw district,
but they can't redraw truth. Down on Trump in the headlines, files stay sealed. Talk with redactions, what's concealed? Epstein case still cast that shadow. Questions rise, but the answer's shallow. Names in the mix, pressure build fast. Public demand like to try to pass. When power protect power, lives work quick. News get heavy when it's stiff like this. New reports say delays ran long. Federal Bureau of Investigation said, wait, now we're looking wrong. Sorrow Ranch sat untouched for years. Now the question's louder than the fears. Loud. In New Mexico, truth get pressed. Voices asking who blocked the search. Was it caution or something deeper? Water pass coming back like a reaper. Maps get stretched trying to grab that win. The history show how it flow within. Spread too thin, now the base ain't safe. Flip one seat, shift the whole estate. Overplay move, that's the fall. Seen that cycle through it all. Built too wide, then crack and break. Power warfare.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I am back with another live. Like I told y'all, we've been back today to discuss some politics. And I have a very special person here with me to help me discuss these politics today, child. So we got Imani back in the building, who is here with us again, and we will be talking about a few of these topics together. And I don't know if there's anything that y'all have seen. Maybe you've seen it already. Maybe you'll be hearing about some of this stuff for the first time. But yeah, just a few things to cover, y'all. It is about 12:55 p.m. here Eastern Time in the United States and the Carolinas. It's probably, I know it is different time zone there for Imani in the UK, but we're gonna rock it out and we're gonna do this live together. So I hope everybody is having a great day. The weather is a little gloomy here. It looks like it's going to rain and the sun is not shining that bright, but we're still having an excellent day. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm gonna go ahead and let Imani say hello, and then we'll go ahead and get into what exactly we'll be talking about on this live. So Imani, what's up, girl? How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. It's sunny here in the UK. It's 6 o'clock. So I'm just on this live with you before I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy my Friday night.
I know that's right, bro. It's the weekend, y'all. We got to get out. But I'm glad it's warm and it's sunny there. I love the sun. Oh my goodness. So I'm glad y'all got good weather over there where you at. But yeah, we'll talk about a few of these things and we'll get up out of here, wrap this up, and get our weekend started. So y'all, let's go ahead and dive right in, right? So today we are going to be talking about some of the mess within politics, right? That is going on. So right now the noise is loud, but the truth is often quiet. So we got to make the truth a little bit as loud as the noise, right? But you know how we do it over here. We're not just here for the mess, we're here for the crown. We're looking for honesty and unity and courage to speak on what's actually happening behind the curtain. And there are a lot of things that are happening behind our political and governmental curtains as well. So we'll be dissecting a few of those headlines that are in the news right now, not just to see who's winning, but also to talk about a bit of the hypocrisy, some of the fears and the systemic failures that put our communities at risk and put us as the people at risk as well. So it's time for us to stop being distracted and looking at the distractions and start looking at the, reality of what is really happening and the dangers that can come with it. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So first on the docket, we'll be talking about Erica Kirk and the fragility of the victim narrative, right? So Erica Kirk is facing intense backlash right now for a video where she claimed to be targeted and dehumanized. I can't say that word right. The hypocrisy lies in a public figure demanding dignity while using. Go ahead, say it, Imani.
Dehumanized.
Dehumanized. Thank you. I always get like choked up on that word. I don't know why I get choked up on that word. Dehumanized. Okay, it should be so obvious. But yeah, so the hypocrisy lies in a public figure who is demanding dignity while using her platform to disparage others, revealing a profound weakness in her inability to handle the very public scrutiny that she actually invites into her own life. So we'll be talking about, um, because she had a few things to say about Drewski and all of that. Y'all will hear it. We have a video we're going to show you. So there's a specific kind of weakness in building a brand on toughness, only to fold and claim victimhood the moment the world talks back, right? So that's that whole you can dish it, but you can't take it. This isn't just about a controversial video, it's about the hypocrisy of demanding respect while failing to give it. It shows fear of accountability that is becoming all too common, not just within our political sector, but many other places. We also will be talking about MAGA Mike, y'all, a leadership that is in total collapse. So if you do not know, y'all, there has been yet another government shutdown. So Speaker Mike Johnson has shut down the House for 2 weeks as his own party moves to fire him. They want him out. This represents a historic failure of leadership and cowardly retreat from the duties of governing just to avoid a confrontation with his own caucus. The People's House is dark because the Speaker is afraid. Mike Johnson hasn't just lost the room, he has lost the entire plot. To shut down the floor for 2 weeks simply because you're scared of your own party firing you is a ultimate sign of failure, in my opinion, personally. It's a level of political cowardice that leaves the entire country vulnerable while he tries to save his own skin. We also will be talking about the VRA gutting, a dangerous erasure of representation. Now, this one, y'all, please listen carefully, okay? So the SCOTUS ruling effectively erasing Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is a coordinated attack, honestly, on Black voting power. This is a dangerous step backwards that reveals a fear of truly multiracial democracy, choosing to win through map making rather than merit. This is where politics turns into warfare. The Supreme Court is gutting the Voting Rights Act because certain powers are terrified of a fair fight. When you can't win the hearts and minds of the people, you try to erase and silence their voices from the map entirely. This isn't just redistricting. It is a disgusting attempt to roll back decades of progress because the current power structure is too weak to survive a real, true democracy. We also will be talking about something that may be a tad triggering, but there's more when it comes to the Epstein file. So we'll be talking about Trump and the Epstein prosecutor and the bluff that failed. So an Epstein prosecutor has called Donald Trump's bluff regarding the redaction of the files. The hypocrisy of promising transparency while fighting to keep the names hidden in court reveals a desperate fear of what the public might actually see. Trump's legal team is learning that you can only bluff for so long before someone calls your hand. They talk about draining the swamp, yet they're fighting in court to keep the Epstein files redacted. It is a failure to live up to their own rhetoric. The prosecutor is daring them to be honest, and their hesitation, well, it speaks volumes about the fear of that, exact truth coming out. We also will be hearing a little bit from our girls, Jennifer and Pumps, over on the iHip podcast and iHip News. And they also will be discussing how, the FBI is involved in covering up a lot of this Epstein stuff, right? So reports confirm the FBI and federal authorities blocked local police from searching Jeffrey Epstein's ranch for years. This is a massive failure of the justice system and a stomach-turning example of how the powerful do protect their own. This is a part that should discuss every single person watching, right? And we will have some helplines and some information we'll be dropping in the chat for anyone who may be a victim or needs some resources as far as things such as like trafficking and all of that, because this is a very tense part of the live we'll be talking about at that time. But yeah, we have proof that the FBI actively protected a predator's playground. Okay, they blocked local law enforcement from doing their jobs at the Zorro Ranch. This isn't just a mistake, it's a coordinated cover-up. It shows a systemic failure where the people meant to protect us were instead protecting the monsters that walk among us. And we also will be talking a little bit about gerrymandering, the desperation of losing the side. So the GOP's rush to gerrymander maps after the SCOTUS ruling actually may backfire by spreading their voters too thin. This tactic is born out of the fear that they cannot win on a level playing field, leading to a desperate dummy mander that actually could collapse. Gerrymandering is the last resort of a party that knows its ideas are failing. They are desperate to hold on to power that they are engineering their own trap. By trying to cheat the system, they are spreading themselves so thin that one high turnout election could actually wash them all away. It's a short-sighted strategy fueled by the fear of change, and it's likely to blow up in their face. So those are the things we're going to be talking about on this live, y'all. And per usual, we'll have some audio and we'll have some videos to show y'all. And in between, we will make our commentary. So for the first video we'll be playing on the live, let's go ahead and get into this Erica Kirk situation, okay? Now, I have the video here of exactly what she said on a podcast, and there has been some talks around that and a lot of pushback about some of the things she said and what position it seems like she's trying to hold from some of her talking points. It's given that, you know, you want to play this victim role, but, you know, it's very hypocritical. So let me go ahead and get that audio up for y'all, and we'll listen to it. We'll see a little bit of the video together, and we'll chit chat, Manny Money, and then we'll also chit chat for you guys in the chat as well. So anything y'all think or feel about this, please feel free to leave your thoughts and feelings in the chat. But let's go ahead and get into the audio. We'll be right back.
Nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of my husband. They've continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country. They don't.
This video by Erica Kirk, I think, was a bad idea. So following the events of the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night, and when I say events, I mean that there was yet another would-be assassin who tried to take Trump's life, allegedly. Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk and the CEO of Turning Point USA, is basically letting her thoughts on the entire situation be known. I don't know what she wanted to accomplish with this, okay? But she didn't hold back. I do think it's backfiring already, but I'm gonna let you decide for yourselves. Now, she really made a point to attack the media and make claims about how the media is to blame for assassination attempts against Trump. I think a better idea would be to call for, I don't know, the FBI to do a better job investigating the assassination attempts and give us some more clarity about what really motivated them. But nonetheless, she has been, attacked pretty relentlessly. She's been the butt of many jokes following both Charlie Kirk's assassination and the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it has to do with the video of her being escorted out after the shooting took place. So this is what I'm talking about.
I just want to go find
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why people were dunking on her for that. Her husband was just assassinated, killed, okay, in front of everybody. That is a traumatic, terrible thing to happen to anybody. And then after that, to be at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and, a shooting breaks out, that is super traumatic. So I don't get it. Like, why are people attacking her for? I understand that, like, the way she behaves publicly is a little bit off-putting. It's a little strange. I get that. Whatever, it's fine. But there was nothing wrong with that video. She was just crying. Okay. I mean, I would probably be crying too. I'd be terrified. But nonetheless, many people on X believe that her reaction was performative. That's a comment that she gets often. And many questioned why she was even there in the first place. So I don't know. She's obviously a political operative of some sort. And of course, she's going to be invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Is anyone surprised by that? I mean, she was at Trump's it wasn't really a State of the Union, but speech that he gave recently. She was honored and mentioned at that speech. So I'm not surprised that she was there. But Kirk was invited as a guest on Fox News, or she was invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner as a guest of Fox News, I should say. And she addressed why she attended the event in the video she put out today. So let's take a look at that.
Everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me. And I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself."
Okay. I call BS on her reason for going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Girl, just be real. Just be real with everyone. I went because I was invited and I wanted to go. You didn't go to like, I'm going to hold reporters accountable. You just wanted to go. You wanted to go and you did, and that's fine. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So like that, it's that kind of stuff that makes people think her behavior is more performative than anything. Just be real. People want authenticity. You wanted to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You were invited as a guest of Fox News. That's fine. But I will say her statement there made me want to look into or question, like, what did the Daily Mail report about her? We'll get to that in just a second. But before we do, the all black outfit, it obviously is evidence of her allowing people's commentary about her to get into her head. She's wearing a black hat, black outfit, because people were making fun of her sparkly outfits following Charlie Kirk's assassination. Just be you. And more importantly, videos like this don't help. They just don't. I mean, it's a hard lesson for people to learn, but when you're under attack, when people are coming after you aggressively, you think that responding to it and explaining yourself is going to somehow be a good defense. It's never a good defense. You know what?
Wow. So Imani, are you there? We'll stop it right there for just a moment before we get on with the rest. And again, we want to hear the rest of this correspondence from Erica Kirk. But what is your overall thoughts, when it comes to like Erica Kirk, the whole situation with Charlie? Rest in peace to him. And how she has been showing up and has been, presented in the media thus far. Like, what are some of your thoughts on, what do you think about her?
I'll probably more, there's a lot of speculation around the death of Charlie Kirk. Let's just say that. We've had Candace Owens, we've had many people saying things. And, whilst I take it into consideration, if I'm going to look at what she does, to be honest with you, when I first saw the video, I was waiting for Erica Kirk to come into the frame because, that outfit is just way too dramatic. I remember her looking like a soccer mum before, she looked like the wife of, someone in politics. And these dramatic outfits. I think there is a little bit of performance coming in. However, I'm in agreement with the host Anna Kasparian. If you were at a function where there was a shooting, and for whatever reason, regardless of the speculation, you've lost your husband in a shooting, it would be frightening. So,
Mm.
I think the video is really about her grief initially, and then it switches to blame. So I do agree that, the whole speculation and taking the footage of her crying, what the hell do they expect? Because anybody who had not even lost someone at that function, I'm sure there were plenty of people that were frightened by what had
Mhm.
happened. So
Mhm.
I don't buy into this, oh, look, she's overdoing it, because, there many people would have been crying even if they hadn't lost their husband. But then, and then the other thing I think she does that's wrong, and I agree with Anna on this, is explaining why you went to the correspondence dinner. There is no need to justify her reason for being there. She went, like she probably went because she wanted to. There are no set rules on what a widow should do. This is not, the 1800s where you had to mourn for, a year and wear black for a year. She's being ridiculous, and she's drawing more attention by giving these explanations. That's what I think so far about what's been said on the video. On the other stuff, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. you know, it was, there's been many rumors about the different things and who may or may not have wanted to unalive Charlie Kirk. But from this position, I think there's far too much explanation. And her grief is understandable, and her fright is understandable. I think we make too much about every situation here, but it
Right,
feeds into
right.
the media.
Yeah. Yeah, just because there, is a lot of salaciousness around a story or an individual, every single thing that they do or every single place that they may be, that starts to get picked apart and attached to that storyline, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can just be a person that just happens to be attending an event, like they said, that she was invited to, and that's all it was. And if something, that traumatic, despite the fact that what she went through with her husband, I think anybody, right, that is not used to those type of things happening in those type of settings and on a daily basis would probably be put back on their heels if shots are fired while you're just sitting down sipping your champagne and trying to eat your dinner at a function. You want to assume that that is something that would happen. So it could be something that's just like very regular and it's getting blown too much out of context, and also being attached to the fact that there is, a lot of speculation around whether people, how they are seeing her as a wife, Charlie's unaliving, all of those things. They may be attaching it and tying it into that when it's really just something very simple. You know what I mean? So yeah, but let's keep going. Let's listen to a little bit more. And one of the things that she said at the end there that was like, I was like, wow, that's interesting. She says, like, when people are speculating about you and talking about you, it's not always the need to get out there and defend yourself and say something. You know what I mean? Like, or over explain. Like, some things you just let it go, you let it slide, especially if it's things that's not true. So that was pretty interesting that she said that. But let's keep going. Let's listen to a little bit more.
It does, it just provides more content for people to comment on. And it sucks, right? Because she does get attacked and mocked a lot. And so I'm sure she wants her voice to be heard. And it's the hardest thing in the world to just not feed into it. But I wouldn't feed into it. I just wouldn't put out a video like this. Anyway, so in regard to the Daily Mail, Alyssa, our producer, found this headline by Susan Green. So she's a US senior reporter for the Daily Mail. It's titled "The Definitive Truth About Erica Kirk's Tears, the Leather Pants, and Her New Fortune," as Candace Owens drops giggling phone call in wake of Charlie's death. So I listened to that. I saw a clip of Candace Owens talking about, it was a Zoom call that Erica Kirk did soon after Charlie Kirk was killed. During that Zoom call with other members of Turning Point USA, she seemed jovial, right? And she was talking about how much merch they sold, and people felt that it was in bad taste. And so I'm guessing that's what the piece was like diving into. But Kirk really is not a fan of how the media is portraying her, which I get, but you can't feed into it because it's catnip. Okay, so this isn't going to help. So after explaining why she attended the event, she then went on to slam journalists who were there because they were reporting on what was happening. So let's take a look at that.
Room. You had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot. Many of those people have become so desensitized that fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the #1 rule of journalism.
Don't do this video, it's bad. It's not good. Okay, I will say, if you're a journalist who's there, and I'm like hiding under a table, I 100% want to document what's going on. Now, here's the thing that I would nitpick about. No one wants to see my mug, okay? I'm not gonna take the phone and be like, oh, I'm gonna record myself as this is happening. No, I'm gonna record what's actually happening in the environment that I'm in case, maybe I'll catch something by filming that could be useful, that could be important to an investigation, that could be important to storytelling if you're a journalist. I think the reporters who like turn the camera on themselves, it's like, okay, I mean, I want to see what's going on. I don't really want to see your face, but fine. The way that she's like being all self-righteous and sanctimonious, that's the kind of stuff that makes people mock her. Don't put out videos like this, just don't. It's not helping your cause. And the whole video was just about attack the media, attack the media, attack the media. I really wanted to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner where all the media is at. Attack the media, attack the media. Okay, you hate the media, I get it. There was a ton of media that you love there, by the way. So like the blanket statements about the media, I think you're very upset. Some people are attacking you in the media, I get it. But be precise, be specific. More importantly, just don't do this video. It's just a bad idea. And by the way, who am I to tell you what to do? If she does put a video out like this, she has to accept whatever comes next, which is more content that she's gonna hate. That's just the reality of the situation. I've had this conversation about my own life and my own context with Cenk like a million times. And it's the hardest thing to do to not take the bait, but don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Just don't do it. Anyway, I don't want to watch more of this. I got to be honest with you guys. So instead, I'm just going to fast forward to who I think this was actually about, and that's Candace Owens. Because Candace Owens, is doing her own investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination, and she is looking into Erica Kirk. And I don't know, I don't know what to make of that. I don't watch. I watched like a few episodes in the very beginning. And then she lost me. She started talking about a guy named Pierre. And I'm like, who's Pierre? I don't know. There's too much going on. So I just stopped, right? However, she does address Candace. Let's go to that video then. Let's watch one more video and then we'll go to Candace's response.
In this culture we're living in, absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, Having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
So Candace Owens has responded. She says, very uncomfortable to watch, painful prompt to read, a speech clearly written by someone else, objectively terrible. So they will now pay for people to tell us otherwise. Also, of everything I've said about Erica, she chooses to respond to something I never said. They always lie. So I can't fact check that because I don't watch her show religiously, and I don't know whether or not she has said that Erica Kirk killed him. I know that she's, doing her own investigation, and she has people within Turning Point USA who are leaking things to her. But I would just say, I don't know how to feel about this because part of me feels really bad for Erica Kirk, but I also think that she's not helping herself by putting out videos like this. And the worst thing about fame or being a public figure is fame and being a public figure. It sucks. It's actually one of the worst things in the world because you're going to be attacked unfairly constantly. Sometimes you're attacked fairly, sometimes incredibly unfairly. And you don't feel like you are able to defend yourself because every time you attempt to do that, you just make it worse and you dig yourself into a deeper hole. And that's what I would just say to her because I can tell it's really like taking a toll on her. And yeah, she comes across as inauthentic and that's why people mock her. The final thing I'll say is we have to protect speech, including the speech and expression of comedians. And yes, comedians have been mocking her. Some might find it incredibly cruel, in poor taste, whatever you might think about it. You don't have to like it, but it's important to protect someone's right to do it. Like we live in America, that's what they do. People are gonna mock you, comedians are gonna make fun of you. And I'd rather live under a system like that than to silence people or tell comedians what they can and can't make jokes about, so.
Every time you ring the bell.
All right, y'all. So that was the end of that video there. That was just a little breakdown of what is currently going on right now, with Erica Kirk and all the things that are being said about her, the jokes that are being made about her. Apparently it's getting to her too. And she's coming out and she's doing, these videos and these lives to speak up for herself or defend herself or call out certain individuals or groups or organizations, such as, like the news, okay, and journalists. So she doesn't like the fact that they're, speaking or speculating on who she may be as a person and how all of this ties in together. And she also very much is angry at the fact that Candace Owens has decided to independently dig in deep and try to get to the bottom of what really happened with Charlie, because Charlie, she claims, was a close friend to her. And so she does not believe what happened to Charlie was just circumstantial. Candace believes that it was all planned and a setup and Erica's involved and all those things. So we got Candace over there doing her big one when it comes to that. We have journalists speculating certain things. We have comedians poking fun. I did hear one of the things that she said that was kind of like, okay, you now feel the sting when it comes to someone, and I don't consider that that's what was being done. I consider just being a comedian who was put on a costume to play a role, right? But to, make certain comments of like someone's dressing up in whiteface, like, come on. To me, I'm sorry. I think that is a reach. And I do think on the other side of that, there have been many people who have dressed up in blackface, and there's no outrage when it comes to that. So, all of that type of stuff for me, it just kind of be making me pay attention and kind of like side eye a little bit. But what do you think, Imani?
Um, yeah, I think let's just say that when it starts, she's entitled to be grieving. She's entitled to be scared. But then she moves towards the messaging and she makes some very, very broad claims about the press, about the left, and they're not substantiated. Just
Mm-hmm.
the same as Candace Owens claims. There's no evidence, and she's making very broad claims that are unsubstantiated.
Mm-hmm.
And what really is at the core here is she's entitled to feel what she feels. The press are also entitled to film her in that situation because that's their job.
Mm-hmm.
To film her how she was acting when the shots were fired. That's what they do. Those are the moments they live for. However,
Mm-hmm.
the criticism around how she was acting, I think, is unfair, but that's the media. And the point is when the more you try and feed into it and explain, the worse it is because you're just feeding a beast that will make more content on you.
Oh.
My advice to her would have been don't make this video because you're just feeding the content beast. However, she does have the right to speak, but she also has
Mm-hmm.
the right to be criticized. And
Mm-hmm.
like we were talking about the other day, criticizing comedians for what they do, commentators, you don't have to agree with them, but trying to shut them down, if we remember what Dave Chappelle did on Saturday Night Live after his criticism, it always backfires.
Mm-hmm.
I think her grief is real, but I also think the criticism is real. It's how you respond to this. And I think that she's doing that thing that I always think is wrong. She's responding to everything and she doesn't need to. And that
Right.
outfit was dramatic. And I will tell you, for those who think she overreacted, Golden, if you and I were at that dinner and shots were fired, I would climb over you to get out of the room. Trust me.
Yeah. I guess a lot of people have a lot of speculation when it comes to that, and question when it comes to that, because when shots was fired during, and this is allegedly during Charlie Kirk's, unaliving, they said that she was cool and calm as a cucumber and making a phone call. So they were like, yeah, if you're so scared of shots being fired, you weren't even this scared when shots were being fired at your own husband, right? You was on a call somewhere off to the side. Now I can't be sure. That's not my words. That's the words of the people. That's what the people are saying. And so
But
that, so now all of a
can I
sudden
just
you're
intercede there? Can I just interrupt there because I've been and I have been once before in places and spaces where shots have been fired and
Mhm.
actually thought they were fireworks. Now,
Mm,
the
okay.
second time I heard that sound, I was ready for what that might have been. So
Hmm.
there are times when she may not, and I'm not making excuses. I'm not on one side or the other. I'm just being a neutral observer. She
Hmm.
may not have been prepared for shots to be fired and for her husband to be unalive. But believe you me, here from my experience, the second time you hear that type of noise, you are ready. So that would
Right.
be an
That's true.
explanation that I could give. I'm not saying that's what she did, but
Yeah.
it could be the case. But anyway, I don't want to keep you, so we can move on.
No, no, you're fine. No, yeah, like we can't be sure, right? Because we don't know what's true and what's not. We just know what we hear, what people speculate on, and what we witness and what we listen to. And everybody can have their perception or, perspective of what those things may be and what is happening, and also their opinion. And so, yeah, let's move right along, y'all, because we don't want to draw this out too long. I'm going to try to keep this one no longer than 2 hours and 30 minutes today, y'all. But we're going to move on to the next topic. So the next one we have here for y'all, like I said, is we're going to get into a little bit of MAGA Mike, okay? And as you know, yes, it announced another government shutdown. MAGA Mike has shut down the government. And basically, they're saying he is doing all of that because he's in his feelings that even his own constituents want him out and feel as though, you know, he's not doing the proper job or a good job, and they want him fired. And he doesn't know how to fight against that or, you know, stand up towards that. And so now he's frustrated and he's shutting down the government. So we have a video on that too. We'll go ahead and get right into that one. After this video, we will take a quick song break and we will get into the next topic for the live. But yeah, let's go ahead and play a little bit of this. And this is from none other than one of, like I said, this is going to be Ben Masilas over at the Midas Touch Network. So y'all know I've been watching him consistently when it comes to political coverage, and I love him. I love his channel, his whole network over there. Really, really cool people. And they bring the real. So let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of Ben. He's going to cover this story for us. I'm going to get that up on the screen for you guys. And then we'll talk about it as we go. All right, here we are. Got it. Okay, so we'll start with audio and then we'll go into the video later. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Meet y'all in the chat.
MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, is panicking as members of his own party want him fired, and they want him fired now. They don't even want to wait until the midterms. But as these MAGA Republicans look toward the midterms, they're telling reporters that they want to lose. They don't want to be in the majority because being led by MAGA Mike Johnson and Donald Trump is so chaotic and is so harmful to them personally that they prefer to be in the minority because they simply can't lead. And the chaos that continues to unfold is just too much for them. And they're going to reporters on the Hill, these MAGA Republicans, and telling them that. So what is MAGA Mike Johnson doing in response? Well, he has now shut down the House of Representatives again. That's right. MAGA Mike Johnson has sent the House of Representatives into yet another recess, sending everybody on vacation back to their home districts through May 11th. This Congress does not work except to inflict pain on the American people. Let me just show you the moment on the House floor yesterday where MAGA Mike Johnson sends a note to the House clerk calling a recess and sending everybody home until May 11th. Let's play this clip.
The Speaker's Room, Washington, D.C., April 30th, 2026. I hereby designate the period from Thursday, April 30th, 2026 through Monday, May 11th, 2026 as a district work period under Clause 13 of Rule 1. Signed sincerely, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1, the House stands adjourned until 10:30 a.m. on Monday next.
Now, the latest report from Notice is called Mike Johnson's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Week. And it talks about how these MAGA Republican Congress members who are part of MAGA Mike Johnson's party, they want him gone. They're done with this. This is what they're reporting. House Republicans are absolutely miserable, and they lay the blame at the feet of Speaker Mike Johnson. This chaos of a slim majority has some wishing for the minority. If we were to lose the majority now, it would be a blessing in disguise, one House Republican said of the party's dwindling ranks, with more members eyeing the exits each day, because maybe then Democrats would go off the rails and do something stupid. And maybe voters would actually give us another chance in November 2028. And a lot of the conference believes Johnson is leading them towards more chaos. This is what happens when you have a leadership who can't organize a one-car parade. One senior Republican told this media outlet called Notice. MAGA Republican Congress member Chip Roy went on the record and said, right now, it is a shit show. And then another MAGA Republican Congress member said the following: we are FUC, you know what the word is, we are effed right now. So I want to show you the moment right before MAGA Mike Johnson sent the House of Representatives into recess, where MAGA Republican Congress member Chip Roy basically said, why are we going home? You want to send us into another vacation, and the Senate wants to go on vacation. And ultimately, we are screwing our constituents right now. And this MAGA Republican Congress member basically lays into MAGA Mike Johnson and the entire Congress being led by the MAGA Republicans, and basically says this Congress.
All right, y'all. So we just got to pause there real quick for a commentary break. But okay, so me, Imani, some of y'all out there, we're avid, politic watchers and followers, and we have seen for a very long period of time here that under this administration, this Trump administration, these individuals that he has put into position in place, we see very clearly with our own eyes and hear with our own ears that a lot of these individuals are not equipped for the job. And, we've been saying it, we've been shouting it, we've been having conversations with one another about it. And now I guess it's like, okay, it's like when you smell, right? It's like you don't know you smell, but everybody else knows you smell. And then it finally gets back to you that you smell bad. Like you need to do something about that. Like you either wash or you just get out of the room because you're stinking up the room. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. But I guess it is just now dawning on him that, like, sir, you're not doing a good job. And it's really hard when it has to come from the people that you consider to be your friends and your family and individuals that are close to you when they have to tell you a hard truth as well. And I think that he has now been told this hard truth and is really sticking. And he's in a position where the individuals who are saying this and feeling and thinking this about him do have the power to get him up out of there. And it's just like, bruh, I mean, us as the American people, we've been seeing this. We've been talking about this, and we talk about it, even sometimes with our friends and our family that may not even just reside in this country, but also play, close attention to what happens in all government, whether it's in their country or over here in the United States as well. And sir, you're not hitting the mark. Like you gotta go, and your own people are telling you gotta go. And then to throw a temper tantrum and not know how to deal with that, and just say, you know what, forget it. I'm shutting the government down. Like what? What do you think about that, Imani?
Well, I don't think he's ever had control. I don't think he's losing control. I don't think he ever had control of the House.
Right.
There's obviously, it's pretty obvious there are divisions. I mean, how can it be so bad that you want to be in the minority? And I do think that this, if you look at the history of the House, you'll see that Republicans do prefer to be in the minority. Historically, they never do well when they're in the majority in the House. And also, the amount of recesses he's had in this session is a big sign of dysfunction and panicking. There's obviously a lot of internal conflicts with them. It's a recess, and they do go back to their districts and fundraise and meet their constituents and, technically do some work. However, he's had more recesses than all the schools put together, to be quite honest with you. It's ridiculous. So
Yes.
yeah, there are issues at hand.
Yeah. I mean, it's been the most recesses that I've ever seen. And it's just like when you get frustrated and you throw your hands up, you just like, you know what? Forget it. Shut it down. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And you just, what? You go on vacation and play golf for 2 weeks, you know, and everybody else's life is affected because you're not able or functionable enough to do your actual job. You have a temper tantrum like a 3-year-old and you want to go into recess. Every time we turn around, they're on recess because they cannot come up with any type of conclusions. And it's just like, okay, come on. We're getting like the people are really getting tired of this. I can imagine how the individuals that are working there with him that have to come to those meetings and have to, you know, go on these recesses. I can only imagine how they feel. They're like, yo, this is a waste of my daggone time in my life. I should have rethought this. I did not know that I signed up for this because it's ridiculous. It's like you being on your job, and every time, you know, at your job, nobody can come to a conclusion for like what? I don't know. Let's throw something out there. But you can't come to a conclusion for anything. You're like, okay, we're just going to shut down business for 2 weeks. Like whether it's a grocery store or a doctor's office, like you get upset, you get in your feelings because you're all in your head and all confused because you don't know what you're doing. And then you get upset about that. And then you're just like, yeah, let's just close shop for 2 weeks. Like what? No, nobody got time for that. We need our money. I need my money. And we also have to understand too, that we have a lot of great people that are sitting in these seats that want to fight for the people, and they want to pass bills. They want to get things done. They want to make the structure and the system for our government better. And they want to come to work to do their job. But because someone else is in their feelings and having a temper tantrum, now that's 2 weeks away that they can't get work done because you want to just shut the doors and just go play golf, you know? I don't know, y'all. That's just me. You know how I be, y'all. I add my little 2 cents into there. But basically, it's just like, how many times are we going to keep going through this when we cannot come to an agreement? Can we grow up? We have to come to an agreement. And sometimes it may be a hard agreement and it might be something you don't like. But do what is best for the people. That is the major problem. And you spoke on a little bit of this, Imani. The biggest problem, I think, when it comes to a lot of these people that hold these positions is they don't care about the people. They don't care about the people. They don't care about democracy. They care about themselves, their representation, their reputation, you know, all of those type of things, and how they'll go down in history. That's what they care about. And if it's not seeming like it's being written in the way that they want it to be written, and it's not going to leave a very good story in a book that maybe kids are reading in a history class, maybe 20, 30 years from now, then now they're kicking and screaming like children. But you're doing that. You're not being the best you can be. You're not doing the best you can do. So you can have some level of history in a book that actually doesn't make you look like a fool. So if you're upset about that, that's your choice, because you're not equipped for the position and you're not holding it properly and you know, using it properly. So you got any additional thoughts on that, Imani, before we move on?
No, I think I'll save mine to see till after we see what bills they were supposed to pass.
Yeah.
Why he sent them home.
Yeah, we'll get into that part because that's going to be really interesting to get a little bit more context on this entire thing. So let's play a little bit more of the video and listen together, and then we'll be back for some more commentary.
Led by MAGA Mike Johnson is completely and utterly worthless. Here, play this clip.
The reason I asked for the gentleman to yield to me is precisely the response we just heard. You know what really the problem is? People want to get home to fundraisers. People want to get home to dinners. People want to go back to their districts and go on trips. They have Codels. Meanwhile, the American people are wondering what on earth is happening in this town.
The gentleman will suspend. House will be in order. I lost $50,000 because I didn't buy.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank the Speaker. The American people are wondering what on earth is happening when they look at this body and see what we failed to do. We're continuing every single day to drive this entire country into bankruptcy. $40 trillion, government spying on the people, failure to stop government spying on the people, kill switches in cars, failure to stop sugar drinks going to children on the SNAP program voted by both sides of the aisle. And we go home and the American people say, what are you doing? Well, here we sit. And the response here is, please let us get on our flights so we can go home. Be away for 10 days while this country suffers because this body doesn't do its job.
Now, if you think about what type of legislation was pushed through the House of Representatives just in the past 24 hours. So you know how MAGA Mike Johnson was refusing the Democrats' compromise, which would fund the Department of Homeland Security so long as ICE was not funded, but it would fund all of the other areas of the Department of Homeland Security. And MAGA Mike months ago said, we're never going to do that. We're never going to do that, even though the Senate reached a compromise where they were going to agree to fund DHS without ICE. Well, MAGA Mike Johnson, right before sending Congress into vacation, was like, yeah, we'll fund DHS now. We'll fund the Department of Homeland Security, and we won't deal with ICE now. We'll deal with ICE later, maybe in a reconciliation process. So why did you shut down the DHS if you were ultimately going to just pass it, which the Democrats reached a compromise with the Senate a long time ago? Also, MAGA Mike pushed through the warrantless FISA 702 reauthorization, which Donald Trump had basically campaigned that he was against and that he wanted warrants. So this was yet another betrayal of the MAGA base. And the way MAGA Mike Johnson was able to convince MAGA Republicans in the House in order to pass FISA Section 702 without a warrant requirement was basically to trick them. And MAGA Mike's like, well, I'm actually going to support a central bill that bans central bank digital currency, which was a big issue if you support my warrantless FISA 702. And so he got some support from MAGA Republicans. Then he said, yeah, actually, we're not going to ban the central bank digital currency. So all these MAGA Republicans were like, you just screwed us. We just agreed to this because you made a deal with us. Now you withdrew the deal after you said you were going to make the deal. So people were livid with him at that. And then MAGA Mike, tried to push through this very deeply unpopular farm bill, and contained in this farm bill at first was a special provision that promoted certain herbicides and pesticides and gave blanket immunity, for example, to glyphosate. And so then MAGA Republican Congress members like Anna Paulina Luna and Thomas Massie, frankly, joined by Democrats when it came to this, had to basically support amendments that would basically ban Donald Trump and MAGA from giving immunity to the big agriculture makers of these herbicides and pesticides like glyphosate, which have been demonstrated to be carcinogens. And so then all of these other Republicans were forced to take votes kind of supporting glyphosate. And ultimately, the immunity provision was stripped from the bill, but it exposed so many Republicans as being in the pocket of pro-glyphosate, pro-cancer. And so they were pissed at MAGA Mike for exposing them to that right there. And let me just share with you this moment before the House went into recess as well, where you had Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse cross-examining a MAGA Republican Congress member who was championing the pro-glyphosate position. Here, play this clip.
You're aware that a couple of years ago, Bayer removed glyphosate from residential products. You familiar with that?
Yes.
Why?
I guess there were questions.
If it's so safe, why'd they do that?
I don't know.
Don't know. Yeah.
I will tell you, it created a real challenge for.
There are Republicans who oppose this
to be able to
provision.
have
There are
full
Democrats who
affordability.
oppose this provision. I am one of them, and I hope that enough Republican members of the U.S. House tomorrow decide in advance of the procedural vote that this amendment is worth fighting for, and they ultimately ensure that we get an up or down vote.
And then the folks over at TMZ caught up with MAGA Republican Congress member Dan Mauser right as Congress was going into this vacation and recess. And this dude was clearly triggered. Here, play this clip right here.
Look, you guys have the majority, though. You guys have the majority, and you're probably going to go home without passing DHS.
We have a majority. We have a 2-vote majority. So that means we need 100%. And as well, you need 60 votes over there. You know that. Stop trying to kick things up that aren't working.
No. I'm just saying because I'm frustrated, and a lot of Americans are frustrated that you guys are probably going to go home on another break before passing this DHS bill.
We're going to do our best to pass it. And
the best, though. You know, like I'm trying to be respectful,
and it's
but
not a break. You're not being respectful.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, don't talk to me anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean that. I'm just frustrated that these people.
I'm sorry, I had to take a break to laugh. Child, they getting hot. When the truth get thrown in your face, child, they don't even know how to defend themselves against it. They just walk off angry. Like, what do you think about this, Imani, from what we've heard so far?
Well, I think obviously there are two really important bills that were supposed to be pushed through, and once again, them doing an about face on things that they said they would support. Thing is, Mike Johnson saying that he was going to vote for a bill for DHS that didn't include ICE in there, and then reversing that position is nothing new. That means the TSA agents in the airport don't get paid again. I mean, this impacts a lot of people outside of ICE, which needs a review. The second thing is the Pfizer bill, the thing that Trump campaigned on, which was these warrantless surveillance that they said they were going to stop because they wanted a few more. I think the Republicans wanted a few more checks and balances in these Pfizer applications. It's very strange how when they're in government, then it's okay to spy now on everybody, warrantless. But before, when they were out of government, it was not okay because some of those Pfizer warrants are what they used to get some of the Jan 6 people and to be able to get phones and various bits of information. So that was all bad when it was being done before, but now it's okay. That's passed through. And furthermore, the fact that, the glyphosate, the fact that these herbicides are carcinogens, I think there's a real moral question here about money in politics. And I think it would be interesting if, before you have these votes, if people receive a substantial, and I mean, I think they should give it a number, I don't know what the number is, amount of money in politics from certain people that will be impacted by their vote, then they should either be told that they sit out that vote if it's a substantial amount of money, be it tech, be it the pharmaceutical industry, whatever industry it is, but they have a transparency around how much money each of these people receive from certain industries. Because then we'll see what you're really voting for. Are you really voting for the money that gets you into government, or do you really care about the impact of what you do and what it has on the people? I think it's really interesting that certain bills and certain people who lobby these congressmen and these senators, and I think we need some transparency about who is getting a lot of money and a lot of contributions from which industry, because it determines how they vote. But that's mainly what I've got to say about this. Hello.
Yeah, girl, I'm here. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And again, because we watch this so closely, and we really, we pay attention to exactly what is going on, what is important, and at the core of it for me, I just, I overall see it as like very simple. These are things that are made to be complicated that should not be that complicated, but we know what comes into the mix that starts to make things complicated, right? Like it's ego, it's money, it's pride, it's all of those things. But at the core, what we should be paying attention to and what really needs to just be focused on is, are we making the best decisions? Or these votes and these rulings and these laws and regulations that are being put in place, are they going to be things that are going to aid and assist the trajectory of the people, right, that predominantly live in that country? And we won't even talk about all of the geopolitics and all that stuff. That's a conversation for another day, because respectfully, we know that some of the decisions that they make here, it also can affect sometimes other individuals and how they live in other countries as well. So I always take that into consideration, because I don't always want it to be like a woe is me thing just because I'm from the US. Because everybody that I'm cool with and I'm friends with and I talk to about politics, we're not all from the same country. But at the core, this is your job. This is your main job. This is the main importance of these positions that these people hold, right? To make sure that things are working and operating properly and comfortably for the people. And I just see that is not what they're doing. Like it doesn't seem like that is what their goal or their mission is to do. And so when you realize that there are selfish people that don't care about the people and they only care about what it is that they want to do, then you hone in with a magnifying glass to see, well, what is important to that person? What is their mission? You know what I mean? Like what do they want? What is important to them? And once you figure that out, then you can basically pinpoint how they move and why they, hold the positions that they do. And we have this type of crap. But anyway, let's keep going, y'all. Let's listen to a little bit more and we'll be right back.
TSA will go without pay.
I'm frustrated, but you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Because when you go home, it's not. First of all, we have conference calls, we do other things, and we work for our constituents. We got a lot of work to do at home as well.
We just want you to pass like this legislation, like if TSA and other people are going without pay, and I get that you guys are going home
to the fucking Democrats.
Thank you, sir.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built an app.
What about MAGA Mike? What was MAGA Mike saying as he called this recess? It was actually quite pathetic. MAGA Mike is saying that the MAGA Republicans are the grown-ups in charge. Here, play this clip.
House Republicans continue to deliver for the American people. We will continue to do that for the remainder of the year. And that is a large reason why we are going to win the midterms so that the grown-ups can stay in charge here. Take a few questions.
MAGA Mike Johnson is also saying that we deliver for the American people, these MAGA Republicans. We're the ones who actually deliver. Just kind of utterly pathetic. Let's play this clip.
Don't doubt the House Republican majority. We always deliver for the American people. We did it again, in spite of the challenges, and we'll continue to do that.
This is the third shutdown in 6 months.
And so now let me bring you as well to the House floor, where Democratic Congressmember McGovern, right before the recess was called, talked about the disastrous farm bill that MAGA Republicans in the House were pushing through. Let's play this clip.
You guys are bringing this farm bill to the floor 3 years late in the middle of the night. It's prime time in Guam, for God's sake. Republicans spent the whole day fighting with each other. You know what most Americans spent doing today? Working, going to school, taking care of their kids, living their lives, wondering, praying if this institution might give a damn about their hopes and dreams, their concerns and fears. And what Republicans have shown time and time again is that they don't care. If they did, they would not be bringing this farm bill to the floor, because this bill makes hunger worse. It means more kids go to bed without food. More seniors end up in the ER after taking pills on an empty stomach. More parents put groceries back on the shelf. Hunger is a political condition. It's the result of decisions made in this chamber. Republicans decided in their big ugly bill to make hunger worse. And with this farm bill, they are deciding to keep it worse by locking in massive cuts to food assistance. 48 million people in this country cannot afford food. And as a congressman and as an American, I'm ashamed of that. And I'm ashamed that in a nation as rich and powerful as ours, the people in charge of this town don't seem to give a damn.
Folks, and even on state.
All right, so I just wanted to pause it right there real quick, y'all, because I wanted to read through a few notes, because I know sometimes we can have the videos and stuff up, but maybe everybody doesn't watch, or maybe everybody doesn't know. So what they are talking about, the two bills that they cannot come to a understanding on, are two major bills when it comes to the safety, the security, and the health and benefit of the people, right? So when they're talking about the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2026, right? This is a massive, okay? It's an everything bill that sets the rules for how we eat and how our farmers survive. It passed the House on April 30th, 2026. Now, how does this affect the people? The grocery bill. It funds SNAP benefits, which is also known as food stamps program, which helps over 42 million people buy groceries every month. It also aids and assists with rural survival. It invests in rural broadbands, making sure people in the country have high-speed internet for school, work, and telehealth. And also the safety net. It provides risk management for farmers, meaning if a massive storm or a drought hits, the government helps them stay in business so our food supply doesn't collapse. Because when our farmers, whether they're cattle farmers or animal farmers, or they're vegetative farmers that provide our fruits and vegetables, right? When natural disasters and stuff like that happen and these farms get destroyed and affected, that affects the food supply for the people, right? And then they also were talking about the stalled E15 fuel bill. So what that bill is, it is a plan to allow E15 gasoline, which is gas that is mixed with 15% ethanol, to be sold all year long, including during the hottest summer months, right? And so how does this affect the people? Well, let's talk about the prices at the pumps. Supporters say that this could provide relief at the pump because ethanol is often cheaper than pure gasoline. Now, if anybody has been paying attention and tying 1 and 2 together, you know that there is a huge situation happening, which we can call World War III, where a lot of the countries that supply the mass amounts of the oils that we need for gasoline in our country are being attacked by our president in this country. And, you know, all of that is going to shit. Y'all know I break it down in the ghetto way. So because of that, they're trying to find ways to aid and assist and make this better for the people, despite the fact the things that Trump has decided to do on his own accord that is messing things up for the people, right? So let's talk about the middleman choice, right? Along with this E15 fuel bill. Because it was stripped out of the main farm bill and delayed until May 13th, consumers lose the choice of potentially cheaper fuel options during the start of summer driving seasons. So this is now, like I said, with this government, government shutdown, but this, let's just say recess, right? These decisions are being pushed back. We're saying right now it is May 1st. This is being pushed back to May 13th. People got to go outside and get gas tomorrow. We don't have time for y'all to be sitting back for 2 weeks and trying to figure out, you know, a choice. People need gas now. People need gas in the next 5-15 minutes, right? And so these are some of the things that they were trying to put into place to help aid and assist. And with the course and the difficulty that all of this war and this craziness that Trump has started has put on the people. So this is what they have been trying to fight to come up with a decision for, right? But no. They want to take 2 weeks off. So then we have to talk about the farmers versus big oil. This is a battle between the Midwest farmers who want more corn demand and oil refineries who say it is too expensive to make. When they can't decide, the consumer pays the price of uncertainty, right? Because people are trying to find ways and solutions to get these things out to the people in the public, in a way that is affordable for the consumer, but it's also not going to bankrupt the owner, the business owner, right? Or the farm owner. And so they're trying to come up with a way to meet in the middle somewhere. And these people are not trying to come up with decisions where we're able to meet in the middle and it benefits us all, right? So these are some of the things they're fighting against. And so then we also have the DHS funding and the enforcement gap. Okay, so what is that? This is a bill that was passed on April 30th, again, end of the 76-day partial shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. So how is this affecting people? The paycheck win. It ensures that TSA agents and Coast Guard members who are working without pay during the shutdown get their checks. So travel and coastal safeties aren't interrupted. So number one, it's beneficial to the workers because they're getting paid for the work that they still got to come to work and do. That's like, people got to ask themselves, like, take a walk in somebody else's shoes. Would you want to go to work and work for however many hours, however many days a week, and then when your payday comes, they tell you, well, you worked, but you don't get a paycheck this week or after these 2 weeks. Yeah, you wouldn't like that to happen to you, right? So this is not only just for the workers, but also we have to pay attention to the fact when it comes to TSA and Coastal Guard members, we're talking about travel, y'all. And travel is one of the biggest things that a lot of people do in this world, right? People are always somewhere on a plane. Some people are always somewhere on a boat or a cruise or a ship. And so those people that work in those type of facilities, whether it's the airlines or whether it's the Coast Guard members and the ship lines, right? Those workers have to get paid. But also, you want to travel, don't you? And guess what? A lot of them started striking, started deciding that they're not going to go to work for no pay, right? And so what is that doing? And a lot of people can attest to that. Well, now you got canceled flights, you got canceled, shippings or however you call it, because I ain't never been on no boat or no ship. But those things start getting canceled and they start getting affected, and your trips and stuff start getting canceled and getting affected. And then what also is happening is they going up on the price, right? A lot of people are saying they got to pay more now for airline tickets and more now, to get board on ships and boats and things of that nature, to go on cruises and things like that. So this is what we're talking about. So the enforcement failure, this is the catch. The bill excluded new funding for ICE and Border Patrol. Did y'all hear what I said? I said the bill excluded new funding for ICE and Border Control. So you have to ask yourself, what do you think is more important to these people and why? So the reason, can we deduce that the reason you can't decide or you want to hold all of this up is because you're upset because you can't get additional funding for ICE and Border Patrol? What do we feel as though as a people we need more funding for ICE and Border Patrol? Imani, can you pop in with me for a second? Let me know what you think about this.
I'm just in shock. And the reason is, I'm thinking about this from a UK perspective. If government employees did not get paid in the UK, the country would be at a complete standstill. Because I can tell you categorically, when the doctors who were can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know how I am. I was like, are y'all taking to the streets?
They would, when they thought doctors and policemen were going to go on strike because they're government employees. And when you look across the board, you have prison officers, you have probation officers. Some of these industries have been semi-privatized, but not policemen. Some of the prisons are have privatization, but the country would come to a standstill. People would not go to work without getting paid. I could not imagine people standing in the airport and they're part of the government employees, are not getting paid. No one will get in. No one will
And
get in.
you know how disgruntled people are, right? So it's not just the fact that you got to show up to work every day. You got to deal with all of these different people, personalities and attitudes and issues. And, they all, so you got people there that are pompous, you know what I'm saying? They're talking to you and treating you any type of way. And you mean to tell me I got to deal with all of this and I ain't getting no paycheck to feed my family and pay my bills? Oh, you got me. You know what? You got me.
You got me effed up.
Absolutely not. And so, and this is the thing that we talk about. We've talked about this a lot of times before. People got to understand their power. There's more of y'all than there is of them, and they need you. People just try to pretend, that they don't know the importance of workers, no matter what position you may hold, even if you work at a grocery store or a gas station, right? As an attendant there. Know your worth and what you bring to the table, because if you have these people that are sitting there saying, oh, excuse me, we're not getting paid. Okay, well, I won't be there. How do you think these flights and these airports and airlines and stuff are going to run, smoothly if there's no people there that's working to get the jobs done that are necessary to be done? So that's like you're playing in people's face because you're trying to devalue them. You're trying to devalue them. And I think what a lot of this is what they're learning is their FAFO. You know what FAFO means, right?
I sure do. But
that
was a very good comprehensive. Just call me the bread and you are the sandwich filler, because that was a very good comprehensive fill-in for what this all means. And it means a hell of a lot.
I mean, sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can just break it down to size. It's just like, yo, think about it. And if anybody rationally thinks about it in their own life, like even with their own job, whatever their career is, would you like to go to work and somebody tell you, yeah, continue working as hard as you do and putting up with all of the things that you do. But guess what? When payday comes, there won't be a check there for you. But we want you to keep working though. Nah. You don't get to do that to people. And you will not have anything rolling and operating smooth up in this, what, if it isn't for the individuals that come and put in their hard work, sweat, and tears every day. So come on, make it make sense. And so that's why basically we're seeing now, you have to make a decision at this point, because not only is it about you're giving the middle finger to people. We understand you don't care about the people. That's been very evident. But guess what that's also now playing with? It's playing with y'all pockets, right? It's playing with y'all structures and y'all systems, because y'all make a lot of money off of these airlines and these coastlines. And if you don't have the people working there, right, to keep everything functioning and moving on this regular schedule program, nice and smooth like it typically do, that's going to cost you money in the end. So you better pay these people their money. You know what I'm saying? Child, I'm a little ghetto. But anyway.
No, I do. Sorry. Right, okay.
That's how I be breaking it down, because that's how I see it. I simplify it in my mind. Like, yo, it really makes perfect sense. Like, you need these people. The workers or the people that they tried to deem to be, not that important, and they can just, oh, we don't care, to hell with you, whatever happens with you. Okay, don't care. Until all of them people say, guess what? We ain't coming to work. Figure it out yourself. Do it yourself. And then everything starts falling to shit. Excuse my language. And then when that starts to happen, these people have to realize that's going to start affecting y'all money too, right? So you might want to fix that situation. But anyway, let's let Ben keep talking, because we got to move right along. Y'all know I run my mouth. Let's go.
Regime media, their guests were calling out with Donald Trump and MAGA Mike Johnson and all of the stuff that was going on. Let me show you this clip right here. Let's play it.
I honestly don't agree with Matthew. I don't think that we sadly are holding all the cards, and that doesn't make me anti-American. It certainly doesn't make me in favor of Iran, the Iranian regime, which is really the same regime as we had before. If you open any portion of a blockade, you no longer have a blockade. If you listen, Senator Lindsey Graham earlier this morning. I thought it sounded ridiculous. But in addition to that, what we have is not just the American people, who I think polls show across the board like now a negative 15 if you take all of the averages of these polls in support for this, but you have cracks in the Republican support for this. And that is going to be even more evident when they get back after the session, after this week, when you need congressional approval. I don't care what Pete Hegseth says. The War Powers Resolution Act is very, very clear, and this ceasefire does not extend that. So I think what has to be done here is it has to go back to what a lot of people have been saying, our allies have been saying, which is you got to sit down and you got to have more diplomacy. The American people aren't buying this. Our allies aren't buying this. We are alone. The American people don't have affordability, not just at the gas pump, but at the grocery store. This is not sustainable, and not just for Iran and the Iranian people.
So now what the MAGA Republicans are doing during this recess, and I think this is one of the reasons MAGA Mike kind of in this panic called this recess, was that now the MAGA Republicans want to figure out, are there any more states where they can gerrymander and try to rig maps in order to try to pick up House seats during the midterms by rigging the electoral maps? And so you had the MAGA Republicans running to Ron DeSantis to gerrymander the maps in Florida. And here's what Ron DeSantis had to say. And he used this voice to mock Hakeem Jeffries. It was quite weird. Here, play this clip.
If you're over the age of 50, there is a new state-regulated burial and cremation benefit that pays for funeral and final expenses of up to $35,000. This coverage has no waiting period.
We're going to do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you're going to find out all this stuff. And, you know, what I said was, listen, and he's like, oh, if you do the redistricting, we're going to take out all your members. We're going to do all this stuff. And what I said was, go ahead, make my day. You don't think we're going to, you want to come down here and spend money and in Florida, roll the dice and take your chances. But don't think that you can come down here, issue threats to us, and somehow you're going to make us flinch. That is not happening. And in fact, it did not happen, because as soon as he came out and started doing that last week, Florida legislature turned around and they passed a new map.
Finally, Anna Paulina Luna, MAGA Republican Congress member, writes, I'm hearing that some members are upset about the blowback they're receiving from their constituents for voting against the amendment to remove pesticide liability protections. I have absolutely nothing to do with that. I don't control activists, influencers, outside groups, or anyone else, and it's a pretty big cop-out to suggest otherwise. Newsflash. People are genuinely upset that this provision was added to the Farm Bill and that it would have given liability protection to pesticide companies. You know, finally, MAGA Republicans are also disenchanted at the way MAGA Mike Johnson has handled the Epstein files, obviously, and that he's botched the cover-up, that he and Comer and Trump and Bondi and all of them have botched the cover-up. And so
all right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and end that video right there. We're going to have to take a quick song break. After that song break, we will be getting into a few more things, right? Because there are some serious changes and shifts being made when it comes to voter rights, and it's specifically when it comes to Black and brown people, African American people, whatever it is you want to call it. We're talking about voter rights here in the United States. So we can refer to some Black people as African American, even though some people don't want to be called that, y'all. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But y'all know what I'm talking about. It's us. It is us, and it is affecting us. And we'll be getting into that segment next after this song break. But as you heard Ben say at the end there, we also will be talking a little bit more about a few other things as well. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I didn't mean that for that to play. But we will be talking a little bit more about some of the things going on with these Epstein files, because this is just ridiculousness. The way that they're trying to hide this and cover this up to save their own tails. And there's so many individuals that have been hurt and harmed, you know, when it comes to everything wrapped around Epstein, okay? And once we tie into all of that, like I said, we will be presenting and posting some, resources in the chat if there is anybody out there who has experienced, any of these things, right? Like ex trafficking, all of that type of stuff. It's deep. I don't like to say too much on it, but it is what's going on, and we have to talk about it sometime. But let's go ahead and take this quick song break. I will talk to y'all in just a moment, and we will get into this second topic right here. We got to talk about warfare, and how now they want to silence the people, and they are coming after your ability to vote, especially if you are Black or African American person. So yeah, we'll hear some from Roland Martin from that in just a moment. Let's get into this song. We'll be right back.
Headlines screaming, but what's real? Live, now the net on fire. Talking, I'm targeted, but the tone getting dire. Called out Drusky, said white face play. What? Internet pause like wait. Say that again. Run it back. Expressions got clipped, now the clips go viral. Viral. Comment section turning into full blown trial. Facts. Some say mock, some say reaching for views. But one wrong stream got her deep in the news. Boom, line went left. This ain't news. It's warfare. Names on the board, yeah, they all there. Truth get twisted in the cold glare. But the people still watch, still aware. Speaker Mike Johnson can't hold the floor. Gold piece split, can't agree no more. 75 days shutdown drag, had a house locked up like a body bag. Freedom caucus with a vacate that chair. On party pressure, yeah, it started. 2 weeks gone, Congress on pause. Why the country looking like, what's the cause? Case on the docket, maps get redrawn. Cali B, Louisiana got the section gone. Section 2 hit, now the guardrail broke. Whole community still that stroke. 6 to 3 at a ruling land. Shifting power with a single hand. Voices risk getting cut from the map. Call it legal, but it hit like a trap. We see it. They redraw history, but they can't redraw truth. Donald Trump in the headlines, files stay sealed. Talk of red actions, what's concealed? Epstein case still cast that shadow. Questions rise, but the answers shadow. Names in the mix, pressure build fast. Public demand like just show the past. Empower, protect, power lines blur quick. Truth get heavy when it stick like this. New reports, even age ran long. Federal Bureau of Investigation said, wait, now we're looking wrong. Global ranch set untouched for years. Now that push is louder than the fears. In New Mexico, truth get pressed. Voices asking who blocked the search. Was it caution or something deeper? Now the past coming back like the reaper. Map get stretched trying to grab that win, but history show how it fold within. Spread too thin, now the base ain't safe. Flip one seat, shift the whole state. Overplay moves, that's the fall. Seen that cycle through it all. Build too wide, then it crack and break. Power games got a risky stake.
All right, y'all. So thanks for rocking with me through that song break. So now we're about to go ahead and we're going to get into our next topic, right? So we got to talk about this Voting Rights Act, okay? So the ruling in a 6-3 decision along partisan lines, the court struck down a Louisiana map that had created a second majority Black district. Now, the conservative majority ruled that the district relied too heavily on race, labeling it a unconstitutional racial gerrymandering, right? But the intent trap. The court shifted the legal standard for Section 2 of the VRA. Now voters must prove discriminatory intent rather than just discriminatory effect. Then we have to get into the partisanship loopholes. States can now defend discriminatory maps by claiming they were discriminating based on political party rather than race, making challenges nearly impossible to win. Basically saying they don't believe that you're saying that you're being iced out, from your voting rights because you are Black. It is based off of where you are located. But they understand gerrymandering is you're coming into certain areas, cities, and states that are predominantly Black. So if you're trying to, manipulate how the voting rules and regulations go on in those predominantly Black cities and states, so you make it harder for them to vote or nearly impossible for them to vote. And you say that that is not an issue that you're weaponizing based off of race. It's just off of location. A lot of people understand that it's the same thing because there are some cities and states where a lot of people know this is a predominantly Black city and state. So clearly you're doing this for racial purposes, but we can't be sure, y'all. I'm gonna let Roland Martin talk about it because he talks about it way better than I can. We will listen to this together. As we listen to it together, we'll take some pauses in between just to give our commentary, me and Imani included. So let's go ahead and get into the video, and I will meet y'all in the chat.
News conference today discussing this decision. This is what they had to say.
So let's tell the truth.
The Black Caucus held a news conference today discussing this decision. This is what they had to say.
So let's tell the truth, plainly and without apology. American democracy has never been fully formed and has never been equally accessible. Every inch of progress in this country has been fought for, won through struggle, through resistance, and through the courage of people this nation tried to leave behind. We did not become a truly multiracial democracy until the Voting Rights Act of 1965 enforced the 15th Amendment, because Black Americans demanded the right to be seen, heard, and counted. That progress was paid for in blood, in sacrifice, and in unbreakable resolve. And now, 60 years later, we are watching that progress be ripped away. With its decision in Louisiana v. Calais, the Supreme Court has opened the door to a coordinated attack on Black voters across this country. This is an outright power grab. It's about silencing Black voices, dismantling majority Black districts, and rigging the map so that politicians can choose their voters instead of the other way around. We have seen this before. We know exactly what this leads to, and we will not go back. For years, we've sounded the alarm on the Voting Rights Act. As the Voting Rights Act was chipped away piece by piece, today the consequences are here and they are dangerous. Let me say this clearly. The legitimacy of this court is in crisis. This is not the court of Thurgood Marshall. This is not the court that delivered Brown v. Board of Education. This is not the court that expanded freedom and moved this nation closer to its ideals. This is a court that is turning back its back on that legacy and on the people it is supposed to serve. But we're not powerless, and we're not backing down. The Congressional Black Caucus is prepared to take any measure necessary to protect Black voters in this country. We are demanding an immediate vote on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and we will not accept delay, obstruction, or excuses. We will, and we will go further. We will fight for Supreme Court reform. We will pursue term limits for justices, and we will do what it takes to restore integrity, accountability, and trust, because no institution is above the people it serves.
Today's decision by this illegitimate Supreme Court majority strikes a blow against the Voting Rights Act and is designed to undermine the ability of communities of color all across this country to elect their candidate of choice. But we're not here to step back, we're here to fight back.
Yes.
Now, when this decision came out earlier today, it's an unacceptable decision, but not an unexpected decision. Because this isn't even really the Roberts Court. It's the Trump Court.
Yes.
And what we would expect from the Trump Court is an effort to continue their scheme to suppress the vote and rig the midterm elections and beyond. Because these extremists have failed America in every possible way. They failed on the economy, they failed on healthcare, they're failing as it relates to this reckless and costly war of choice. The extremists have completely and totally failed America.
That's right.
So they've concluded, aided and abetted by the Trump court, that they have to cheat to win.
Yes.
But the reality of our experience, our journey, now more than 400 years, is that we view a setback, and this is one, but we view setbacks as nothing more than a setup for a comeback.
That's right.
And America has the great opportunity to keep the comeback going by exercising your right to vote in November and making it clear that it's not Donald Trump or his Supreme Court majority that should be the ones to decide who gets to represent you in Congress. It's the American people.
That's right.
Now, they've tried to do everything they can, particularly in the aftermath of the 2008 election. They've tried to do everything that they can to eliminate and erase our journey, our struggle, our march in this country toward a more perfect union. And now we're at a point where affirmative action is gone, diversity is gone, equity gone, inclusion gone, racial tolerance gone, the Voting Rights Act largely gone. But guess what, extremists? We're still here.
That's right.
And we're not going anywhere. And we believe in this country.
That's right.
Not a perfect country, but we recognize that what we've been given is a march toward a more perfect union. And at this moment in time, we're urging everyone to summon the courage, the character, and the conviction of those heroes like John Lewis and Rosa Parks and so many others upon whose shoulders we stand.
Yes.
They had to fight through moments of turbulence, trials and tribulations. But every single time, they fought through those moments and were able to usher in a new era of progress. And that's what this moment represents right now. It's turbulent, it's chaotic, it's extreme. But all of us are going to summon that courage, that character, that conviction, and show up and stand up and speak up for what we know is right to get this situation turned around. We will not let their scheme to rig the midterm election and beyond be successful.
Folks, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she said, y'all want to fight? This is how Dems must fight.
Them to just hide that intent instead of actually address and prevent and protect Americans' voting rights who are at risk, and especially communities, I think, in the South of the United States, but it really affects every American across.
Should New York respond in kind by doing its own redistricting once the amendment, if the amendment passes?
I have long felt that we all have to play by the same set of rules. And the Republican caucus has made it very clear that they want and are setting rules of partisan gerrymandering. The Democratic caucus has tried to pass nonpartisan gerrymandering for 10 years. Republicans have rejected it. And so we have to all abide by the same rules. And so if Republicans are going to redraw North Carolina, if they're going to redraw Texas, if they're going to redraw and gerrymander every one of their states, then unfortunately, we have to provide balance to that until we get to the day where we can all finally agree to put this behind us and pass nonpartisan gerrymandering federally.
This graphic has been floating all around social media. It says current map, Democrats hold 24 seats in these states. Possible redistricting scenario, Republicans gain 12 more seats. You look at this map, you see right here on the left, you see the blue, you see 3 in North Carolina, you see 3 in North Carolina, 1 in South Carolina, you see 2 in Georgia, 2 in Alabama, 1 in Mississippi, you see 2 in Louisiana, you see the ones in Florida. This likely could be the map. None in Louisiana, none in Mississippi, none in Tennessee, none, which means majority black Memphis. No, they may get rid of that. None in Alabama.
All right, Imani. So if you're still there with me, good. So I think it's very important for us to have a conversation and actually talk about, because it's okay and it's understandable that, you know, when it comes to a lot of stuff, maybe a lot of people do not understand what gerrymandering is and what it does and the effect that it can have. So I wanted to go ahead and have a little bit of conversation on that and read from some of the notes that I created. But before I read from my notes, I want you to go ahead and speak first, because you know a lot about this. And I love having conversations with you because we can have political conversations. It's just so amazing. So you see what's happening here, right? Go ahead and just, you know, let's speak from your heart, your mind, or whatever. What you feel about all of this, you know, these shifts, these changes, and what they're doing with this gerrymandering.
Well, this is obviously the Congressional Black Caucus reacting to the Supreme Court decision, and it's a claim that voting rights, especially for black voters, are being weakened. And it really seems like the progress since the Voting Rights Acts of 1965 has been reversed. Basically, they're trying to take people backwards. And,
Right.
and that the Supreme Court is enabling voter suppression.
Right.
Now, there's been some major Supreme Court rulings weakening parts of the Voting Rights Acts. And there's ongoing legal fights about redistricting and basically Section 2 protections. And they are valid concern because the court is actually biased in, I mean, they're calling it the Trump court, but the Conservatives are 63 in the court. So in a majority of decisions, they tend to, well, they were, and I say they were favoring Trump in most of these. And there is
Right.
a key thing of the fear of losing the midterms because of
Mhm.
how low they're polling.
Mhm.
It's, you know, it's looking like they could lose a lot of seats. So what's been happening is they've been redistricting to favor and get more, and in quotes, red voting, and it's very partisan. Now, gerrymandering, as it's called, has happened on both sides of the fence, but
Mhm.
according to the Democrats, it's not so much in a partisan way, i.e., they're not creating districts that they think will be ruby red or you know, mainly blue. But the key thing is, I think that, in my opinion, because of how badly the Republicans are doing, this could backfire anyway on every level. Because if you look at what happened with the seat that Marjorie Taylor Greene had given up, she won
Mm.
that seat by 80, I think it was about 85, maybe 90% of the vote.
Mhm.
It has gone, and I'm not sure because I didn't look it up. It's gone to a runoff because the Democrat actually got more votes than the Republican. So, however they may want to redraw the map, is not going to change how their own base is thinking about them. So they might be doing this for the reasons they think they're going to win more seats. But I think it could actually backfire on them anyway because their own voters are not supporting them because they have not stuck by the policies that they were actually voted in for, which was America First, no more endless wars, affordability, things like the Pfizer Act. You know, he's gone back on absolutely everything he said he would do. So he might redistrict, but it may not actually achieve the result that he really wants. And I think it's very emotional from the perspective from minority voters, because when you think about the civil rights movement and how people fought, like Rosa Parks, John Lewis, this has historical context that is very emotional, and it does seem like it really is vote suppression. But we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes, and I'll leave you to be the sandwich filler, as I said, and that's not a downgrade because I know you're going to put in all the bits I've missed out.
No. I love it. I love it. We follow up and we watch this so closely, both of us, right? And we have these excellent conversations with one another. And you know, I come with my my side and you come with your side. So I love both sides. And you know, we really are understanding and getting it. And so one of the things I like to do sometimes when I'm doing the lives, what I want to try to incorporate more now is that when we are talking about some of these things that are issues when it comes to these political lives, some of it I feel as though I need to break down or give, you know, like the definition or understanding as to what exactly is happening and what it all means. So when we're talking about gerrymandering, right, and we are speaking on this, and this is just my title, the warfare of the lines and the limits, okay, let's talk about the partisan stance, okay? So politically, Republicans currently hold the advantage in the redistricting battle, using recent Supreme Court victories to secure safe seats. This is what Imani was just saying, that protect their narrow House majority. They argue these maps are drawn based on partisanship, which is legal, right? Because everything, you know, child, when people doing stuff, they got to make sure that they put it out there that, oh, it's legal. We can do that. Sure. Rather than race. But we do know that race is a big thing and it does come into play in a lot of these things, even though they don't want to admit it and tell the truth about it. Now let's talk about the Democrats. While having used gerrymandering, right, because they use it too in states like New York and Illinois, they are currently the primary advocates for federal laws to ban this said practice, arguing that it is being used as a weapon to systemically dilute the voices of minority communities, right? So what does that whole passage mean right there, y'all? We have to be very honest and open. Republicans use gerrymandering as a tool in the toolbox, and the Democrats do it as well. Now, right now, the Republicans are using it and they're getting, you know, the most benefit, and they're winning from using that tool, and the Democrats are not happy with it. So now the Democrats are calling it out. But if we're going to be honest, both parties have used this tool when it comes to votes, okay? Votes for a certain side. So we got to be real and honest about that. So gerrymandering, what it is a strategy that is born out of fear. It is what happens when a party realizes they can no longer win the argument on merit. So they decide to change the boundaries of the battlefield. It turns our representatives into rulers who pick their own voters instead of the voters picking their own leaders. Y'all hear me now? Y'all hear what I'm saying? It goes backwards when it comes to gerrymandering. So gerrymandering is now these representatives, they get to handpick who and what groups and communities of people, you know, can have these voting privileges, right? And they typically are going to pick ones that they know like them, rock with them, or will most likely vote for them, right? So they're learning how to, or not they're learning, but what they do is they rig the system so they can make sure that the ones that will vote for them are the ones that they're in that, jurisdiction and that proximity of to get these votes, right? It's a guaranteed vote that they know that they're going to get. And so they shift and move things around so they can make sure it's in places and spaces where they know the masses of the people in that community are going to vote for them, right? For whatever their reasons is. Now, this is people, like we're saying, are representatives who are now using this as a tool and a weapon to kind of manipulate into getting votes, when really votes were supposed to come specifically and organically from the people based off of what they think, they feel, they want, and what representative they feel as though is going to be the best fit to bring those said changes and things to their neighborhood, their city, their state, their community, whatever, right? So whether it's packing a community into one district to waste their votes, or cracking a neighborhood to ensure they never have a majority, the goal is always the same: to silence the opposition, right? And like I said earlier, Dems have done it before. Republicans do it a lot. They both have used this tool, this little trick or whatnot, this little cheat code, right? To get these votes and to get the power, to be able to reign. So it is a disgusting abuse of power that treats the American voter like a pawn in a game of chess, right? Because a lot of voters don't know this. They don't know the education behind what gerrymandering is. They don't know that they're being used. They don't know that they're being manipulated. They don't really know these things. They're like, okay, when it's time to vote on voting day, I'm just going to go out, I'm going to vote. And, I vote for the one that I like the most, or that has said that they're promising to do things that are going to change things that I think will be beneficial, not in just my life, but in, my community. And so they just go out and vote, but they don't know all of these backdoor games that these politicians play, right? So gerrymandering isn't a sign of political strength. It is a confession that the people are walking away from your platform. They're turning against you, right? You're losing. So this is, like I said, a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? This happens typically when that party knows that they are losing. The people are not voting for you. They're not checking for you, right? They're checking for the other party. So now they're like, we are going to cheat. And so they throw these type of things in the mix. And so when you see a district shaped like a snake or a broken wing, you aren't looking at geography. You're looking at a politician trying to hide from accountability, right? And a lot of the time, the voters and the people are like, we're not voting for this specific politician or administration or group because we don't believe in them. We don't like what they're selling. We don't want to buy it. We choosing what we want. And they're like, well, okay, we know a lot of these people are seeing it that way and moving and operating that way, but we need to win regardless. So they're going to find a way to do it. So they gerrymander. The danger of safe seats, right, is that politicians stop listening to the middle and they start catering only on the extreme edges of their party, which is why our government is stuck in a total gridlock right now. And, with a lot of these things that have been brought to the floor, they cannot decide because they know at the core what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And what they don't want to do is what the people need and what is best for the people. And because they don't want to look like they're terrible people, because they're not just going to stand 10 toes down on the fact that I don't care about the people. It's about me. It's about what we want. And, make the ruling, make the decision. Now they're going to take 2 weeks off. So I guess they can go on a boat trip and think about it when they really know exactly why they won't make these, major decisions that they need to make. You know what I'm saying? So let's let Roland talk a little bit more about this, y'all, and then we're going to have to move right along and get into our next topic.
Bam. One in Georgia, none, removing Clyburn, none in South Carolina, basically only having one in North Carolina, and having one, maybe two in Florida. What has been talked about, Joy, is that if Republicans want to go that hard, Democrats should do a 52-0 map in California. Democrats should do a 17-0 map in New York. In Illinois. And New York Governor Kathy Hochul's already said she's meeting and saying how should they respond. Listen, damn, all this cute and being nice. If Republicans wipe out 10 to 15 black seats in the South, you damn Skippy, I want to see a 52-0 map in California.
Absolutely. I have not always wanted to see this. I'm like AOC. Many of us wanted to have non-partisan gerrymandering. We can't have that. So we got to match energy with energy. We have to do that. This is a war. And there are things that you do in war and rules that you have that you might not have in polite times. So yeah, if they do one thing, we have to do the other, because that will also give them pause. We have seen in other states where you have Republican legislators who say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of that. And there may be some Democrats. So we got to match energy for energy. If we're seeing it over there, we've got to respond in kind, because what's at risk is the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. But women out there, ladies, pay attention. Pete Hegseth put up a pastor and is normalizing a man who wants to repeal the 19th Amendment. Guys, they have a plan that involves everyone who is not a white man. But what we really know is they are tricking these poor white men, because what they really have is a plan that only benefits an oligarchy of rich white men.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going here. So any and everything by any means necessary, we have to be of that mindset now, whereas we might not have been that way before. So if you are a white friend of Joy Cheney's who's on here, I need to see you posting about this. I need to see you talking about this. If you're a women's rights advocate, as I am, that's where you do a lot of your work, I need to see you moving on this. I need to see you writing about this. I need to see you talking to your families about this.
Yep.
Blowing up the table about this.
Yep.
Because that's where we are right now. And everyone has to vote. So that young lady that I had to give a terse and a curse to at the Founding Farmers
right
a few weeks ago, I'm sorry, but it was deserved.
Michael,
what you're talking about is stupid.
Michael, Marsha Black.
Gotta say it.
Marsha Blackburn, who's running for governor of Tennessee, posted this. I urge our state legislature to reconvene to redistrict another Republican seat in Memphis. It's essential to cement Donald Trump's agenda in the golden age of America. I vow to keep Tennessee a red state, and as governor, I'll do everything I can to make this map a reality. So what she's saying, Michael, is she wants to see a Republican represent a majority black city in Memphis. Now, remember, there were 2 Democratic seats in Tennessee. Now there's only one, because they split Nashville into 4 different congressional districts. Memphis is pretty much still intact, represented by Congressman Steve Cohen. He's, of course, being challenged by State Representative Justin Pearson. And then this is how people responded. They said, okay, Marsha, if you want to see all red Tennessee, this is what Illinois should look like. They said Illinois should look like an all blue state. They said, okay, Marsha, you want to see an all red, you want to see an all red Tennessee? They said, we can play that game. Let's have an all blue California. Then they said, again, have an all blue Indiana. You start talking about how do you look at Colorado? Let's take that, that state leader, Senate leader in Maryland did not want to redistrict in that state. It was being pushed by Governor Wes Moore. Well, guess what? If Republicans start wiping out these seats, then that damn Senate president and those black senators in Maryland need to get some damn guts and wipe out the Republican seat in Maryland. This is real simple. This is warfare, political warfare. Supreme Court is unleashed, and this is how you fight fire with fire.
Tired of bringing a knife to a gunfight, and I don't know which mic.
I'm sorry. Imhotep, and I'm gonna go to you next. Imhotep, go.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I agree, Roland.
And control room,
We
y'all
have
got to
to
get
fight
y'all got to
those-
get Michael Brown's echo straight. So please fix that. Imhotep, go.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, Roland. We have to fight with those tactics and redraw those maps. That's part of it. But the other part is if there is equal voter apathy, like there was in 2024, well, then if Republicans have a higher turnout, then we're going to lose once again. So in addition to redrawing those maps, we have to focus on the policies that really impact the African American community. We have to invest in organizations like Black Voters Matter. We have to have the ground game to really do the door knocking and engage people on the ground to get them to actually vote. Okay, so we have to have all of that together. And really, and lastly, when I talked about 1890 Mississippi, that's one of the reasons why the 1965 Voting Rights Act was needed and signed into law to counter what happened then and counter all those obstacles to the.
All right, y'all. So we'll stop it right there because we got to move right along. And I'm just going to give y'all a brief summary of exactly, what all of this is about. And like I said, this is more so in the alignment of history and stuff. But I'll give y'all a brief summary on how it all ties in, and it's going to be a fast one. And we're going to move on to our next video, okay? So basically, let's see where it all started, okay? A century of two steps back. This starts from the 1920s, the 19th Amendment, right? Women finally won the right to vote. But for Black women, it was a paper victory. While the law said all women, the reality in the South was Jim Crow, poll taxes, literacy tests, and grandfather clauses that kept Black women and men from the ballot for another 45 years. In 1965, we had the Voting Rights Act. This was the Great Restoration. After decades of blood, sweat, and tears, the Voting Rights Act, which was the VRA, finally banned those Jim Crow tricks and gave the federal government the power to stop discriminatory maps before they ever went live. That's the gerrymandering, the discriminatory maps, right? And then once we get into 2013 to 2026, we're talking about the gutting. So we're starting with Shelby County versus Holder in 2013 and accumulating in this week of April 29, 2026 ruling, the Supreme Court has been systemically stripping the VRA of its power. So if we do, more deeper historical research, we will see where the fights begin to get us the laws and the rights that we have. And if we fast forward to where we are right now, we can see that we have an administration that is actively working towards reversing and dismantling a lot of those laws and rights. Imani, do you have any final thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next one?
Just really basic things that are happening. Voting rights and redistricting there are some active legal battles going on, and
Right.
the Supreme Court decisions do influence election maps. Gerrymandering has been used and is widely used by both parties, and there's a lot of tensions around this. What I would say is happening at the moment is the Republicans are basically trying to stack the deck for the midterms because they can see that if the maps stay as they are probably going to lose quite a lot of seats because they are losing votes in areas where they were strong at the time of the election.
Yep.
However, what is needed, and this is something we spoke about in the last live, is that votes do matter. Votes matter when they are voting about these redistricting maps. People need to get out and vote and know when they are supposed to vote. The second thing is votes will matter at the midterms, and things like Operation Black Vote are important. It is important for people to realize the policies that are going to affect your everyday life and get
Yeah.
out there and vote and don't complain when you don't vote. Another big issue, most parties have used this to their own advantage, but this is a concentrated effort to stack the deck, and people need to be aware of how much impact this could have on their everyday lives. Although I do still have a thought that this could still backfire on them, because the Republicans are very unpopular at the moment. So it remains to be seen. Remains to be seen what happens. And that's all I have on that, really.
I absolutely agree with everything you said. And one of the things that I've also been witnessing as of late is that it seems that there are multiple different tiers of Republicans, right? So we have the conservatives, you have the MAGAs, it's over there, and Lord knows what they're doing and what they think. And then you have like the, traditionary, that's what I call it, right? This is in my words, in my opinion, right? But what I've been seeing is there are Republicans, but there are a lot of different Republicans that think differently, right? And all of their reasoning and the things that are meaningful and important to them, they actually do waver and don't align with some of this MAGA madness and this Trump administration's madness. And we see a lot of them speaking out. We see a lot of them, making commentary about that. And so that is, I believe, the ace in the hole and the trick factor, because when it comes to all of this, they think that all Republicans are the same and they fall under one umbrella and they all think alike and they move alike. And what I'm starting to see now is that that's actually not true. And, I've never been really somebody to really understand why we have to separate between Democrat and Republican. I never really get it. I'm still learning all of that and having to download that and receive that and understand all of that. The difference when it comes to the parties, I don't know why it has to be that way, but it is what it is. That's how it's been set up. So, we move and we shake along with it, how it moves and it operates. But the most important thing is I've been paying attention to these Republicans, and there's so many different types of Republicans. There really are. And a lot of them are not agreeing with some of this stuff that is coming and trying to be put in place by this Trump administration, because they see it through a different lens. And so I think that is going to be the caveat in a lot of this, that they think even if they gerrymander these districts and these areas, that they're going to get votes in their favor, and they actually may FAFO and not get them, because some of these Republicans are not with this ish at all either. Have you been seeing that as well, Imani?
Yeah, I think they have underestimated the power of the public opinion and the vote. They've very much underestimated what people really want to know, what impacts them personally. And a lot of people are suffering. You're talking about healthcare, you're talking about food, you're talking about the price of gas, you're just talking about basic, people are talking about kitchen table issues, not all this big money stuff. They are not interested in a war that is miles and miles away from them, that they don't need to be involved in. So yeah, I think they underestimate the public opinion.
Thank you, Imani. And that should have never started. Okay. And so that's the thing. It's like when it comes to us being human beings and decent individuals, it doesn't matter if we represent red or blue. It doesn't matter if we stand as Republicans or Democrats. When it comes to regular, basic human needs, right? And humanity, I believe that now we are seeing, which actually gives me hope and makes me happy, because I am seeing that us as a people, we are walking around and moving and operating with a level of humanity that we are supposed to have. And it just gives us the confirmation that despite us coming from different parties, being different races, being different religions, whatever, we have a sense at core when it comes to humanity. You understand? And so I think that a lot of that is going to play a major role in a lot of this, because people are looking at it from a standpoint outside of just tax bracket, right? And different, things of that nature. at the core, we're dealing with an administration that is having no respect or no, care for basic humanity. And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. If someone tries to take your human rights away from you, right? I think a lot of people are sitting there saying, this is where I draw the line. Like, we can't do this. You know what I'm saying? This can't work. Because, and even if you just see it happening to the other side right now, a lot of people are using common sense and they're going to say, well, it's only a matter of time before it happens to us. So nobody wants their human rights taken away from them, right? And so, yeah, I think despite the parties, that is exactly what a lot of people are meeting in the middle with, is the humanity of it all. This administration and this whole run that Trump has been having right now, it really has been showing people that these are individuals that literally have no care whatsoever when it comes to human beings and human rights. They don't care anything about that. And I think at the core, despite somebody, and I know I'm very repetitive, y'all, but despite somebody is a Republican or a Democrat or independent or whatever, they understand that one of the most important things for us to have and value in this world, in this life, is humanity and our rights to be a human and have the things that we need, that are necessities. And once those things start being taken off the table, I think that's waking a lot of people up and opening a lot of eyes. And that's just all I have to say on that, y'all. But we do have to go ahead and take a quick song break. After we take this song break, we will be coming back with the very next topic. Now, I did have a second video that I wanted to show y'all because I like numbers, and the numbers are very important as far as the polls and stuff like that. So I wanted to show y'all this video because exactly what we're talking about when it comes to this gerrymandering is exactly what Imani was saying. I believe that, and I agree, that a lot of this gerrymandering is actually going to backfire. And we do have some stats, some numbers, and some polls that actually support and agree that they also predict that that will happen. So I'm going to show a small portion of that before we move on to, and unfortunately, the Epstein stuff, right? I saved that for last because, it's not my favorite to talk about, but it's important because we need to get this information out there. So let's take this quick song break, and then we'll come back. We'll get into some of the stats of this gerrymandering and then move on to some talks around Trump and these Epstein files. Okay, y'all. We'll be right back.
They drag us from the coast, middle passage madness, where we lost the most. Packed in hoes like cargo, spirits in a cage. Built a brand new nation, lived a life of rage. Yeah, we were the property, the 3/5 compromise. Picked the cotton, built the White House with our hands inside. Then they watered all the poplar trees with our blood and cries. Yeah, you know what they were for beneath the southern skies. That strange fruit hanging message of their hate. A simple wrong look was enough to seal your fate. To my brown kin, they just stole it, called it manifest. Killed the Aztecs, stole the planes, put them to the west. The good old days, the signs on the wall. They want us broken, silent, waiting for the call. They wanna push us backwards, drag us down to hell, but we ain't going back, not going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back. Let's talk about a word. Say your word. Let's talk about a word. See how it sticks. 6 letters, COLORE. 3D to politics. Not a person, just a label, just a shade on a chart. A legal way to tear a whole damn race apart. Colored water fountain, colored waiting room, colored entrance round the back, a social living tomb. Jim Crow was the law, man. Segregation was the tool. Taught a child to hate his own skin before he went to school. And it ain't just here, that's the global view. Apartheid, colonization, yeah, they did it there too. That word was a weapon, a boot on the neck to say you live, you die, you move at our check. They want the good old days, the signs on the wall. They want us broken, silent, waiting for the call. They want to push us backwards, drag us down to hell, but we ain't going back. 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 Don't you dare say it's repeating. It never stops. They just got new suits, new slogans, new cops. They ban the books that tell the truth of Act 1. They call a protest riot soon as the marching's done. They tell us get over it, it wasn't us. While they build the same systems of them and us. Gerrymander the district, choke the money from the school. Praise the good old days while they fill the modern jails. This is the warning, this is the last thing. We learned your lessons, now we understand. We are the children of the ones you couldn't break. We are the dreams that you could never ever take. We are the fire you tried to douse with ice. We paid the cost, we ain't gon' pay it twice. You want us back in chains, you want us on our knees. We'd rather die right here standing on our feet. This ain't a threat, this is a promise we fulfill. We ain't ever going back. We'll fight you tooth and nail. We ain't going back.
All right, y'all. So thanks for rocking with me for that little song break. So now we're just gonna go ahead and get into just a few of the stats. And like this is a short part of the video I'm gonna play, and then we'll be moving on to our next topic. We got to talk about Trump and these Epstein files. But as y'all can see on the screen right now, we have some percentages and some numbers, right? Some stats when it comes to this gerrymandering. And the commentary that we'll be listening to in this video is basically a prediction, just similar to what Imani said, that she believes, and actually people who are, you know, calculating the numbers and paying close attention also believe that a lot of this will backfire. So we're going to go ahead and play a little bit and a little portion of that video. We'll have some small commentaries to finish off with this topic and move into the Epstein stuff. Okay, y'all? So let's get into it. We'll be right back.
all those months ago. It feels so long ago because the Republican chances of holding on to the House have absolutely declined. Down we go into the water.
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world been turning.
Oh, that's not right.
MAGA started the fire. It was always burning since his wig's been turning.
Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. And don't forget to like the video. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Donnie, they got you looking crazy out here. Is he awake? Hey, wake him up, would you? Does he know he in public? Why he out here looking like my grandfather after Thanksgiving dinner? And also me after Thanksgiving dinner. If this picture is real, I am speechless. Oh, it's real, all right. It's real. and it's spectacular.
We continue our work on negotiating international trade agreements. 59 days after we stood in this office and President Trump, standing with Albert Bourla from Pfizer, announced the first of the 17 MFN deals, together with our colleagues from the Department of Commerce under Secretary Letnick's leadership and from the U.S. Trade Representative's office under the leadership of Ambassador Greer, we negotiated a landmark agreement with the government of the United Kingdom in which they agreed to increase significantly the amount that they spend on branded pharmaceuticals for the first time in 26 years. That work continues with other countries. And third, we will continue our work with our partners in Congress to codify the principles that underpin these most favored nation deals so that these savings for American families and this innovation that is unleashed at the same time persists for decades to come.
Is it over? Is it over? Hey, Trump, best I can say in your defense, that put me down too, dog. That put me down too. That's tough. I'm not president, though. That's the only difference. I'm not president. Yeah, everybody saw that. Everybody saw that. And to the rest of the world that, in fact, saw that, we're at the point in America where the mismanagement of this administration is such that he's asleep at the wheel is the best possible explanation. I've done some bad jobs in my life. I've done some horrible jobs. I never had to go to I fell asleep, and that's why it looks the way that it does. It's never been quite that bad. It's never been quite that bad. I know.
It's sad, isn't it?
Equal protection or say they're being colorblind, don't get pulled into the semantics debate trap. Here's what's actually happening. The GOP and the conservative majority on this court are attacking Black political power as a front to seize illegitimate control over all of us. When Black voters have power, we all get better healthcare, better schools, more accountability. When conservatives silence that, they are setting up a system where they can overrule all of us. Justice Kagan, in one of the most extraordinary acts of protest you will ever see from a Supreme Court justice, read her dissent out loud from the bench. That never happens. She called this ruling what it is, the completed demolition of the Voting Rights Act. The numbers are brutal. Analysts are saying that up to 19 congressional seats could be seized by 2028. This would decimate the Congressional Black Caucus. Nearly half of majority Black state legislative districts in the South could vanish. So this is not just a policy dispute, it is a power grab, and it is going to affect way more than just Black and brown voters, although obviously they are the ones hurt the most. Remember, step one is always sidelining Black political power, because when Black people show up, these people lose. If they can sideline that, they can overrule all of us. That's how it works. That's always been the plan, and they're not even pretending it's not anymore. But I want to close with this. They have taken some tools, but they have not taken them all. There are lawsuits already in motion. More will come. We want to donate to the groups who are suing on our behalf. We need to use the 2026 elections to elect candidates who are committed to passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act at the first possible moment. And this is really important. We need to back candidates who support actual Supreme Court reform. I'm talking about term limits, a binding code of ethics, and maybe expanding the bench. This court is fundamentally broken, but remember, broken things can be fixed. Y'all, they are betting that we're going to get overwhelmed and give up. Don't give it to them. Grieve today, fight tomorrow. And finally, to any Black or brown voter feeling devastated by today's ruling, I can't even imagine how you must feel, but I'm so fucking sorry. And I, for one, will not stop fighting until you get your freedom to vote back. You deserve so much better.
Now, wait a minute.
Wow. That was a lot. Do you have any comments or thoughts on that, Imani?
No, I'm just enjoying the comedy.
Yeah. I have so many things that I want to say, but I'm not even going to say them. I'm just going to skip right on past.
Was he taking a nap?
Who?
Donald Trump. Was he asleep at the wheel again?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, I think he got tired and, he just checked out for a bit. Yeah, and he just fell asleep. And, here we are. But, child, I have so many things that I want to say. But I'm like, look, if y'all don't want to listen to us, there's other people you can listen to. I mean, they kind of get it as well. So it's just like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. What do you think?
I mean, there's not much you can say. Reese does it so well in his delivery. The fact is, I think in this at some point he talks about their chances of winning, or winning the house, have
Right.
gone from
Yes, I'm
thirty-three
gonna skip
percent
through this one because this is a
to
long one. So
40.
I'm gonna right, and just bring up certain clips and pieces and parts of this live. Because I gotta get through this one because it's long and I gotta get to the others that we have. But yeah, I'm gonna skip through it. But yeah, you know, when we watched this or whatnot, because I know I watched it, you watched it as well. Child was on the floor rolling for a lot of it because I always be laughing when Reese be on live. But yeah, I mean the proof is in the pudding. People can do the numbers for themselves. They can pay attention with their own two eyes and see exactly what it is. Now, I will say one thing, and this is it, and I'm going to try to say this as nicely and kindly as possible. You did see, right, everything that she spoke on as far as this gerrymandering and how this is going to backfire. And it's going to backfire because a lot of the things that us as, you know, black people or African American people, if that's what you want to call it, vote for, we have now seen within this administration, it has been, you know, presented to us that a lot of things that we vote for that is for, you know, people's benefit is because we are thinking about people as a whole, but yes, we are thinking about ourselves. And we realize that when you think about people as a whole, not only do a lot of these laws and legislations benefit us that are just black or African American people, but it also benefits other people of other races that may be here in this country. And it also benefits people of the Caucasian race as well. And so when it comes to race, we should not stand aside or separate, right? That's what we've been saying because it's not about race, it is about human rights, human needs, right? And we understand, despite like your race or your gender or your sexual preference or your religious background or any of those things, at the very core, it is about your needs that you have as a human being. And we all are human beings. So a lot of the time when black or African American people pop out and vote for what, you know, they may just think at that time is for what's in their best interest, it also simultaneously benefits a lot of other races and people that also resonate in this country. And so they are realizing that with our votes being, you know, swindled or taken off of the table, some of the important things that need to be voted for may not get voted in because we don't have a voice and our votes won't count. And the numbers are going to start to look a little shifty and shady. And so, again, you know, this could be people that do actually care about humanity and fairness across the board. But this could also be people that are realizing that a lot of things that benefit us as Black or African American people also equally benefit them. And when we use our voices and our voting power to get some of those things into practice, they benefit from it by default. Do you agree with that a little bit, Imani?
Yeah, I mean, basically, they can rig the system, and right now they're in the gerrymandering Olympics. Yeah, they can
Mm-hmm.
spin a narrative, they can redraw maps, but the chaos they're creating, I think, is going to come back at them with interest.
Because what it's boiling down to is you're removing voters and players off of the board that you actually realize you desperately need. Because if it wasn't for some of the votes or a lot of the votes, majority of the votes from the Black or African American community for certain things to be in place, right? And certain things to be, you know, granted or afforded to Black and African American communities, other races and individuals And it may be because of whatever, tax bracket they in or things like that. We could go deeper into it or whatever. But they are now realizing that they equally benefit from a lot of those things that are being voted in, right? So when it comes to affordable health care, when it comes to the price and the cost of eggs and milk and things like that, if you feel as though the only reason why we're getting those things is because Black and African American people are the only ones that are voting in that direction or for those things because they understand how pertinent and important that is in their communities, yeah, that's beneficial for them in their communities. But there are also things that are being put in place once they get voted in and they're in position that, other people have realized they benefit from too. They just don't want to always come out and say it. So, okay, y'all might be a little bit confused about what I'm saying. Let me break it down for y'all real quick. So, if you let some of these uppity people talk, they will tell you that the majority of people, right, that get EBT or food stamps are Black or African American people. That is a lie. You have to do your research and you have to realize that that is not the truth. So EBT and food stamps are not just given to Black people or minorities, right? There are a lot of people that qualify for those type of benefits and services. And if you actually do the research, you'll actually see that it's actually a lot of other races of people that are more so in those systems than Black and African American people. Or if we want to just be fair, you could say it's 50-50. But at minimum, it's a split, right? So these are things that when we're seeing how this administration is working and what they've been trying to take away and what our voting power can do, because we're saying that these are, programs that we need to keep in place because it does help families feed their children. Let's be very clear. The families that are feeding their children are not just Black and African American families. They're all different races of families that are feeding their children off of EBT, SNAP, and food and nutritional services. And so when all of that started getting taken and revoked, the people that were, feeling the burn were not just Black and African American people. There were a lot of different races of people that were feeling the burn from that. And they realized that the Black and the African American vote is highly the reason why we get certain programs like that voted into existence, right? Because of our votes. So our votes bring some of these, programs into existence that are not just helping us. It is helping other people as well. And so I feel as though they see now that they need our votes and they need our votes to count, because when it comes to programs and services and assistance such as these, they benefit from it equally as well. We also can talk about the Affordable Health Care Act, right? Or what people used to call it, the Obamacare, right? Black and African American people were not the only people that were benefiting from the Affordable Care Act when it comes to health care, and the race and the prices of healthcare coverage, right? There were other people and other races of people that were benefiting equally from that as well. So if you take away that Black or African American vote when it comes to healthcare, that's affordable, then they're basically saying that we don't have no voice and we don't have no seats to vote for these things that we know are equally important, not to just us, but people, period, right? Everybody needs affordable health care. And if you're working on a job or you're living in a household bringing in a certain amount of income and you just can't afford, healthcare like maybe other people from the upper echelon can, and you need a more affordable healthcare plan, then that's something that they know that Black and African American people are going to vote for. And what simultaneously happens is they know that they also need that too. And because Black people votes go in, that now it gets passed, it gets put into position, and now we're all benefiting from it. Do you agree with that, Imani? You understand what I'm saying?
Sorry, what did you say?
No, what I'm saying
Hello?
is, okay, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I know the sounds be going in and out. But yeah, what I'm saying is they understand that the Black or the African American vote is very important because, yes, unfortunately, sometimes a lot of Black and African American people have to vote for things that are going to make things a little bit easier and more beneficial in their lives, such as having like EBT or food assistance or affordable health care, right? And we know that that does benefit, a majority sometimes of certain individuals in the Black community that may be on a certain income bracket. But what I'm saying is other races of people are now seeing that those same things that are benefiting Black and African American people are the same things that's benefiting them as well. And the Black vote, right, is what's helping bring a lot of those things into play for people to be able to live more of a comfortable life. And so I feel like sometimes what a lot of this is coming from is that they understand once you take the Black voice and the Black vote out of the matter, a lot of the things that benefit you, you may not get because you get that by default because Black people majority are the ones that are voting those things in because they need that aid and assistance. But there's other races and groups of people that equally need that aid and assistance. They just don't want to be so forthcoming about that. Does that make sense to
No,
you?
yeah, I hear what you're saying, but in a ruby red district, there's no Black people getting EBT. It is majority Caucasian people. So let's just be
Right.
clear
And I
that they
said that,
actually,
I said that earlier too. Like if we break down the numbers, and we're actually real about this thing, there is actually other races of people that are more
yeah.
beneficiaries of
So,
these, aidative services. Yeah.
and I mean, I just think that people have this misconception that there are only poor Black people in America, and it's ridiculous.
Right.
In a ruby red district where Black people are not residing, who else is voting? Who else is getting that assistance? That's why I said they're creating this chaos, which may well backfire, but it may backfire in a bigger way. And if you look at the times that there's been a vote, there is a vote against policy. It's when there's been big swings in the House, as
Mm.
an objective vote, where they're objecting to the government. And I think that
Mm.
there is going to be something like this in the midterms. I may be wrong, but the chances of them holding the House has gone from 33% to 14 as it
Mhm.
stands.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things, and that's, it's something like, okay, you can benefit by
and that's
default and
and
then try to
that's
benefit
really
under.
that's a big key indicator of what may happen in November.
Mhm. I agree. And that's the backfire of it all, right? Because the same things that you're trying to set up here and act like you don't benefit from, that majority of Black and African American people vote for, that you also equally benefit from, that if their voices and their votes are not being counted and they don't get to have them, then some of these things won't be put into place. Therefore, you won't get, some of those benefits or aids or services. That's all I'm saying, right? When it comes to that. And so I feel like there are a lot of people that are understanding that and seeing that. And it don't always have to be about, okay, EBT or food stamps or, Affordable Health Care Act, whatever it is that we are voting for as far as when it comes to human rights and a little bit of more comfortability living within said countries. A lot of people are skating off of the backs of that, knowing that, they benefit equally from it too. They just never want to be open and honest about it. They would just rather sit back and just say, oh, the Black people are voting for this because they need it because they're poor and they're in these impoverished communities and they need the aid and assistance. But there are a lot of other races and groups of people that are equally benefiting from those assistances as well. And it helps them to also have an equally, a little bit easier of a life as well. But, their pride will not allow them to say that and be forthcoming when it comes to that. But what they're fearful of now is that if they take they take our votes off the table, and they don't care about what we're voting for, and everybody else is just voting in a different direction, based off of their income or their tax bracket, then some of those things may be taken off the table, not just that benefit Black and African American people, but American people in general. Does that make sense? Imani? Okay. All right. She's getting her sound fixed. Okay. Give me just a second, y'all. I'm getting ready to put this next video up. So we are going to be moving forward from that topic. Now we have to talk and get to a little bit of a darker topic. We're going to talk about some of this Epstein stuff. And how Trump is actually included in being caught up in all of this because he was there, he knows. And, there may be some things that he may or may have not participated in, but his name is mentioned a lot of times in the Epstein files. So we'll be getting into that. And this is, again, coming from the Midas Touch Network, okay? But this is now, we have a prosecutor that is sitting down. This is a lawyer, Michael Popok, that is sitting down, and he's going to explain a lot of these things from a legal standpoint, and give us, more of a better understanding as far as how severe this situation is and Trump's involvement in all of this. So let's go ahead and listen. And while we are playing this video and the last video from Jennifer and Pumps that I'm going to play over at the I Had It Network and podcast, I will be putting some links in the chat that are helplines and contact information in case anyone needs it. And it will not just be United States based. I have some that are also outside of the United States as well. If anybody needs any of those hotlines or any resources or assistance when it comes to, and because we're speaking about Epstein, we're talking about, child X trafficking, period, that type of low down and dirty stuff. So I will be putting in the chat for you guys some resources if anybody needs them or wants to know some of the ones here in the US and abroad. So we'll listen to this as I post those in the chat, and then we'll do our commentary on all of this. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is Michael Popok. He is a lawyer, and he will be speaking on, Trump and the Epstein files. Let's get into it.
Trump may be worried about the wrong Comey after all. It may not be James Comey and the manufactured indictment against him as former FBI director using seashells on a beach that gets Donald Trump in the end. It may be a little followed lawsuit brought by Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter. All she was doing was working as a prosecutor and toiling away apolitically in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York, but she was prosecuting cases like Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, along with others. And she was canned 1 month before Todd Blanche, the current acting U.S. Attorney General, went in to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Trump's buddy, who's a convicted child sex trafficker, about Trump and Epstein and the child sex trafficking. And she was canned a month before. And my working theory at the time is it was to get rid of Maureen Comey so that he could go in and do that interview and give that immunity to a child sex trafficker without being encumbered with any facts or any law or anything that happened in the trial or any of the witnesses. He didn't want Maureen Comey as an earworm sitting next to him when he interviewed or gave softball questions to Ghislaine Maxwell. He wanted her out of the way. But that wrecked her career. She just wanted to be a prosecutor. Now that lawsuit is moving forward in federal court, despite the fact the Department of Justice has been fighting, kicking, and screaming to send it off into a world where you and I would never hear the results. Some sort of administrative law proceeding with the Merit Systems Protection Board. Screw that. It's going to be in federal district court, United States court in New York. And when the discovery process opens up in that case, when she gets to the bottom of why she was fired and that curious timing of her being fired a month before the Ghislaine Maxwell statement. We're going to get to the bottom of the Epstein account. This could be the can opener that we've always needed. I'm Michael Popuk. You're on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. Top line, headline, sort of boring. Maureen Comey gets to keep her employment case in federal court. More interesting. Maureen Comey, prosecutor of Ghislaine Maxwell, fired 30 days before that interview, perhaps as part of the cover-up scandal by the Department of Justice, is able to have a public forum for her wrongful termination case because a federal judge, Judge Furman, just said so. Let's get down to it. Thanks for being on Midas Touch. Hit the free subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF YouTube channel and do the exact same thing. When Maureen Comey was fired, as the judge reported in his opinion and order, they sent her an email. Came from the HR department at the Department of Justice. And it didn't say she was being fired under the Civil Service Reform Act. It said she was being fired under Article 2 of the Constitution and the president's power to fire.
Farm in the wild, raise animals and harvest crops, make food for yourself and
attorneys general, or I'm sorry, fire U.S. attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys. They relied, the Department of Justice and Trump, on Article 2. And for the judge, that makes a big difference because as they're arguing, this is all covered, Judge, under the Civil Service Reform Act, and she should be forced into the Merit Systems Protection Board appellate process if you don't like the result. The judge says, we got one big problem. You didn't cite to the Civil Service Reform Act, and therefore you didn't exercise your powers under it. There's a whole procedural framework, statutory framework around it, whole scheme, and you didn't use it. You skipped a step. See, this Department of Justice is known for sloppiness, for cutting corners, for missing deadlines, for misstating law or not even citing any law, being defiant to federal judges. And so does it surprise you that they screwed up their termination letter, giving her the power to stay in court? Now, in her complaint, which she filed several months ago, she claims that at least at present, she believes she was fired because she's James Comey's daughter, because there's an assumption about her political leanings, but she's an exemplary employee. She'd never been sanctioned. She'd only been rewarded and awarded and complimented. She was just given one of the top new prosecution cases just a day or two before she was fired. She successfully prosecuted Puff Daddy. She successfully prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell and put her 20 years behind bars for child sex trafficking. And I'm sure she would have done the same to Epstein. And her career, she just wanted to be doing her job, toiling away at the U.S. Attorney's Office, was dashed because, why? Trump doesn't like Comey. Laura Loomer, that right-wing social media influencer, office wife of Donald Trump, she got on her radar, and Laura Loomer started loomerizing or loomering her, or whatever it's called, with constant harangue of social media posts. Why is James Comey's daughter working in the government? Why is she in the Department of Justice? Why is her husband and a son-in-law, and he's a lawyer, and he's in the Department of Justice? I mean, it's just like, I'm sorry to make it simple. That's what it sounds like to me. It's like a mosquito that is, you just want to, and then end it. So she gets fired. Now, my working theory, and I'm not the only one. I was just on with Katie Fang, a good friend of mine. And in fact, I'm going to show you a clip here in a minute. And we came to the same conclusion. Look at the timeline. Trump, from the time he takes office, thinks that the thing he's really going to fix once and for all is get out from under the Epstein scandal. Of course, that backfires because he's so heavy-handed and ham-fisted, and how he uses the Department of Justice and how he uses the FBI to cover up. We know how he could have come clean if he had nothing to hide. Day one, Release all the files. Day 2, have his Department of Justice appoint a special counsel independent from the Department of Justice to investigate everyone and everything that's listed in there as a legitimate lead. Number 3, step 3, have the FBI interview the survivors, meet with them, commune with them, learn from them. Step 4, start the prosecutions. Donald Trump did none of that. Did a whole bunch of hiding documents to this day, using his FBI's credibility now shot to try to cover up, uses Department of Justice credibility now shot to try to cover up. And then you got Maureen Comey. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. 5 years. So my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And remember, Trump was trying to, he's so in the dumps. His reputation is so destroyed that Trump actually thought that Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted child sex trafficker, would help rehabilitate his reputation. How low you must sink in order to believe that. And so a month before, but I'm sure they were planning it because there were likely conversations between Todd Blanche, the deputy attorney general who conducted the interview of Ghislaine Maxwell in her jail at the time in Florida, and David O. Marcus, who Katie Fang knows as well from working down in Miami. They were in discussions. I'm sure they know each other. They've been on podcasts together about a pardon and getting her immunity. He had to have negotiated with David O. Marcus to get her immunity for talking to the government. Now, if I'm in the government and I didn't handle the trial and I don't know the facts of the case, this was a 2-month trial against Ghislaine Maxwell. Thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents and witness testimony. If I don't know that like the back of my hand, I bring in the trial lawyer who does, to keep the witness honest. Because if she starts bullshitting, you want somebody in the room that can raise their hand or hit Blanche in the side or write on a piece of paper if she's lying. This is what really happened. This is what this witness said. This is what this evidence was presented to the jury.
All right, y'all. So let me give y'all a quick breakdown of all of this and what is going on, just in case you didn't know. So this is the Trump, Comey, and the daughter that Trump fears. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the partisan stance. Okay. So this is what's being said. Supporters believe that President is finally bringing accountability to the deep state by prosecuting those who investigated him. Critics argue he is weaponizing the Department of Justice to carry out a retribution campaign against a prominent critic and his family. Comey, that's who we're talking about, right? So Donald Trump's obsession with James Comey has reached a fever pitch with his latest federal indictment. But there is a deeper layer to his fear, okay? And it is not just James. It is his daughter, Maureen Comey. She is a powerhouse federal prosecutor. She led the team that convicted Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was fired from the Justice Department last year for no clear reason other than her last name. And she just won a major court ruling to move forward with a lawsuit against the entire administration. Meanwhile, and we talked about this in a previous live, James Comey is being hauled back into court over an Instagram photo of seashells that were arranged on the beach to read number 8647. The DOJ is actually arguing that a picture of shells on a beach is a, unaliving threat against the 47th president, right? This is what they're trying to get him on and stick him on. This isn't about safety. It is about a leader who is so unsettled by this family's inside knowledge and legal skill that he's using every power at his disposal to dismantle them. When you use the full weight of the law to hunt down a retired director over a beach photo, you aren't showing strength. You are showing a desperate fear of what that family might say in a courtroom. So, when you try to use handcuffs and terminations to silence an entire family, you aren't fighting for justice. You're fighting to keep your own secrets buried. Trump is currently trying to prosecute James Comey. Y'all know this. This is in the headlines right now. For the second time. This is not the first time he tried. This is the second time. After the first case was thrown out by a judge last year. James Comey's response to the new charges, he says and continues to say, I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in independent federal judiciary. So what do you think about this, Imani? Like, isn't it very obvious at this point that he's targeting this family for a purpose? Do you think that, or like, how do you see it?
Well, I'm going to deal with the Maureen Comey issue. The key thing is, it's really about his weaponization of every department that comes under his remit. Now, I
Right.
think eventually he's going to be hearing the name Comey in his sleep, because I think this is another thing that will come back to bite him. First of all, it's the timing. 30 days before they want to go and interview Ghislaine Maxwell, Maureen Comey is fired. But she's not fired. And remember, she's been in that prosecutor's office because she prosecuted Sean Combs when he was, I think, the first prosecution in 1999. So she's not, she's not a newbie.
Right,
She's
right.
been around a long time. Now, the problem they have with this is they sent her an email. They wanted to push this because obviously she objected to the termination into some sort of administrative area. But a federal judge has ruled that Maureen Comer's wrongful termination can move forward in open court. Now, this presents huge problems for them because it means a federal court means discovery. It means documents, emails, internal conversations, decisions that none of us were ever meant to see. And not only that, she's not just any prosecutor. She's worked on big cases. She convicted Ghislaine Maxwell and was going to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein. So she knows all the tea on the Epstein case. And she was fired just weeks before Todd Blanche, as they said in the video, went to see Ghislaine Maxwell, and she got moved to this wonderful club fed where she's even got a comfort dog. There's no proof that anything wrong has happened, but it will be interesting to see what happens because they wanted this to go to a less visible area where we would not see. And unfortunately for them, we're going to get some sunlight on what's happened because in a federal case, they are going to have to produce the discovery. And it is about who said what to whom and all the emails and all the correspondence that happened before her firing, which conveniently was 30 days before they made they interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. And why would you fire the prosecutor that actually prosecuted this woman before you go to interview her when you weren't around when the original interview happened?
Right, exactly.
But one thing I will say, we can theorize as much as we can about this, but it's really going to be about the evidence. But I think that once again, it's another thing that's going to bite him in the ass because he's going on. It's a retribution campaign that he's got, and they know the tea. I mean, you think about James Comey, he was, one of the top lawmen, the FBI. Everybody knew what was in those files. This is not new to people who've been around government for a long time.
Right.
So it's really him trying to, I think, put the screws in the Comey family, but I don't think they're gonna budge that easily, and I think they're tougher. He's taken on a fight that I think he's got unexpected resistance, but it will
I
be
mean,
interesting to see what happens going forward.
yeah, like Ghislaine is behind bars. Okay, this woman is the one who put her behind bars with her, legal performance and expertise. And so, of course, that person would, oppose a threat to someone like him, since all of this about the Epstein files are coming out. And so, one of the things we know, you have supporters and you have naysayers. Now, a lot of supporters are arguing that the president is dismantling a deep state legacy and ensuring accountability for those who previously challenged his administration. Because, he's one of those narcissistic type people, in my personal opinion, that, you got to come at anybody who challenges him or exposes him or shows him up. But in contrast, critics and legal experts argue the administration is carrying out a targeted retribution campaign, and that is very obvious. We see it for what it is. It is fueled by the fear of the Comey family and the deep level of expertise and insider knowledge, just like you said. Go
But
ahead,
the
Iman.
other problem they really do have, if anybody has worked in any HR capacity, if Maureen Comey had any, bad reports, complaints, she's had nothing but good reports. She's got a clean record. So they're
Right.
going to have a hard job trying to explain why this woman has been fired.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, make it make sense. Why would this woman be fired all of a sudden? She's done nothing wrong. Her resume is profound. You know what I mean? Like, she has done great work. And the thing is, when it comes to these type of people, it's all cool in the game when it probably may benefit you, but then when it's targeted against you, now it's a problem. Now she's unprofessional. Like, I don't even know what their live was, as far as being able to get that done. But I guess because he is what, the president of the United States, he's able to just X people off or put people on the chopping block just because he's scared or he don't care for them. Where is the proof? Where is the proof that she needed to be let go? What did she do wrong? Right? Let's talk about her performance. We're not talking about any of that. This is all because you have some type of feeling, because of actually you're probably fearful of this person, because she seems to be very fair when it comes to this stuff. It seems like she's not playing no games when it comes to this nasty work with the Epstein files and anybody included in it. And nobody gets any grace from that. So, you're going to take the position away from this woman, push her out of her position because you're scared of what she can do to you. That's what it's coming out to be. And anybody who does something like that, if you ask me, that actually is just proving to the people that you are guilty. Because if you have nothing to be fearful of, why are you so scared? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. This is how these people move and operate. So, like they were saying here, we're gonna wrap this one up because we got to go on to Pumps and Jennifer. But the focus on James Comey, is really, it's very evident. Okay, this whole seashell thing and this indictment, I think it has less to do about him, and I think it's more so to do with the pressure on Maureen. You know what I mean? And I think that it reveals what this is really all about. Maureen is a formidable federal prosecutor who has successfully led the case against Ghislaine Maxwell. Her abrupt firing from the Justice Department last year without a clear performance-based reason. That's what we were just speaking about. Let's talk about her performance then. If you're going to fire somebody or get rid of them, Explain why. Explain why. There is no clear reason as far as her performance as to why she's been fired. It's been widely condemned as a political hit job, and that is exactly what it is. She has since fought back, right, because she has the knowledge and the know-withal to do so, winning a major court ruling to proceed with a lawsuit against the administration for that wrongful termination. So it's like, you want to bully, you want to pick on people. It's like what I always say. Don't mess with people because you don't know what people are capable of. You don't know what they know. And you know what I'm saying? You don't know how these people get down. So you want to fire her unjustly and for an uncaused reason, only but to save your own tail. And now what is she going to do? Fight you in court? One of the things that she does best. So it's like, why would you go up against somebody like that? But anyway, so it appears that the president isn't just unsettled by James. He is reportedly intimidated. We know this, intimidated by the entire family's legal capabilities, right? Because that is a legal family. So while the DOJ is spending tax dollars to prosecute James over a photo of shells on a beach, Maureen is using her actual legal skills to hold the administration accountable in court. And wow, I am just looking and waiting to see all of that play out. Because when leaders, if that's what you call them, I wouldn't call him a leader. When tyrants, in my personal opinion, use their power to fire a successful prosecutor and indict a retired director over a social media post, that isn't projecting strength. You are showing the world that you are terrified. You were terrified of a family that knows exactly how to navigate the justice system and where the truth is hidden and the bodies are buried. That is my personal opinion. That is Golden Queen's personal opinion. And that is what I think about all of this. Because, if you don't have nothing to worry about, why are you going so hard in the paint? You know what I mean? But do you have any final statements on this, Imani? Because we're going to get into the final topic so we can wrap this live up.
No, I've got nothing more. I just think we should just see how where the chips fall on this one. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, we should see where the chips fall, and they will fall where they may. And I have I have a hunch that I don't think it's going to fall in a direction and on the side that they want it to fall in. So, a lot of this stuff, y'all, it just be like, that's obvious. You know what I mean? It's very obvious why you coming after these people. And look at what they trying to make stick. A man took a picture of some seashells aligned a certain way on the beach, and he gets indicted for that. Come on. You're weaponizing your power because this is somebody you clearly don't like. You want to silence, you want to get taken down. And because you hold, unfortunately, a position to be able to do that, and you have flunkies on your team that can aid and assist you in doing that, that is what you're doing because you're a coward. I'm sorry. No, that's just how I see it. I'm like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, grow up. You did what you did, and now you got to face the fire. And this man will try to avoid the fire by all means necessary. I'm telling you. But it's like, bro, you did this stuff. So now it's catching up to you. It is what it is. But anybody, we're going on to our final video now. This is going to be from Jennifer and Pumps over on the I've Had It podcast and network. And this will be a little bit more conversation when it does come to the Epstein files. And because of that and how, it's very serious, right? This whole Epstein case and these Epstein files. I have posted, some support and some helplines within the chat. I will be flashing them across the screen as we go into this final video and talking point for the live. If there is anyone who needs any aid or assistance when it comes to any of these, type of things, Here are some helplines and some support numbers and groups and text messages and websites that you all can use if it is necessary and you need that help and aid and assistance, or you know somebody in your life that may need it. So we want to make sure that when we're covering this type of footage and content, that we are doing it in a respectful and a safe manner and way, because nothing about this is funny. I know it gets put out on the internet as if it is content and as if it is things that we can just laugh about and move forward from. But these things are very serious, and it's not just in this case that these things have happened. These have happened to other people, and other people may have been a victim of things similar to this as well. And so we want to make sure that we are providing the proper tools and information. That's at least the most that we can give, right? We can give these helplines, we can give these websites, we can give these phone numbers and text messages, text message numbers as well, right, for aid and assistance when it comes to that, you know, and that is it, and that is all. I report on some of these things because they are serious, and I do think they need to be talked about and not just swept under the rug, because, you know, things move so quickly in this social media space. 1 minute you're talking about it, and the next minute you forget all about it. But this is too huge of a situation, not just for this particular case, but because of the fact that this is happening to a lot of people in other predicaments and situations as well. And there may be people out there that need help, they need resources, they want to get out. They may have been through these things previously before in their life, and it's nothing light. It's nothing to take light of. And I understand we have clowns, right, that are in our unfortunately in our White House, right, and in our government, that, you know, they're trying to skate themselves free allegedly from being, you know, caught up or attached to some of this stuff, and not really caring about the people that have been hurt and harmed and traumatized over the years with the actions of these sick individuals. But, you know, us as the people, we may not can do a lot. We can only do what our limits allow us to do. I can't help anybody. I don't have an organization to help anybody, but I can find information that there are phone numbers and there are websites and there are you know, things that you can contact if you need help, if you're in that predicament or that type of situation. And so me and Imani, we were doing research and finding a lot of this. Imani finds a lot of these things as well. This is one of the things that she's really great at. I love Imani. She is really a person who, like, she does things really from her heart. And so, and she's very professional. And so a lot of these things, you know, she's like, people need help, they need resources. We don't know what people are going through. And that's something that really matters to her. And we talk about all of the time. And I know that that's where her heart is at when it comes to these things. And so, yeah, we put this together. She put this together. She puts in a lot of work to make sure that people have some of the resources and stuff when it comes to these type of things that they need, because it's very serious. I talk about it. I run my big old mouth, you know, and we can help as far as we can help. That's it. But yeah, she really is a sweet person, and her heart is always, always in the right place. So let's go ahead and get into this final video, y'all. This is from two of our favorites. It's Jennifer on the left and Pumps is on the right. And this is the I Had It podcast and I've Had It network, or iHip News is what they call it, iHip News. And so, child, these two be giving us life. We be watching them together sometimes, and, you know, we talk about when we watch them, they're like us, basically. They say the things that we can't say. So we're going to let them say it, and then we'll make our commentary on that, and we'll get up out of here, y'all. We'll let y'all go. All right, so let's get into this. And again, trigger warning is up on the screen. Fair use and Copyright Act of 107 is up on the screen. So we'll be listening to a little bit of their podcast. And yes, they are talking about some of this Epstein coverage. And they keep it real, like we keep it real. This stuff is disgusting, and they give it to them straight like that. So let's get into it.
Jesus, do MAGA Christian Republicans are considering supporting a pardon for convicted trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. Long buried allegations about Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico are finally getting the scrutiny they deserve, including claims of gang and bodies buried in the desert. Representative Melanie Stansbury was interviewed for a segment on 60 Minutes Australia. Let's play the clip.
The man actually claims that he met Jeffrey Epstein, was brought to the ranch, he was drugged, and he describes in detail a scene in which multiple young men were at the ranch in front of him after he was drugged.
You hear about Jeffrey Epstein's penchant for minors and for young women, but not men. We haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were serial abusers. So they really were super predators, and it's clear that this was just how they lived their lives.
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix, you can grab yours now and then get to work.
This is, it's stunning to me because the accusations here, the allegations that of gang and bodies buried in the desert. 10 years ago, I kind of would have been like, but with every leak of information from the Epstein files, and we don't even have half of them released, it is evident to me that Congressman Stansbury is 100% right. They are super predators, and it's unpleasant to think about, but we have to realize if they're going after little girls, of course, there are these rich people that are asking for the services of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that might have a preference for boys. It also is very unpleasant to think about, but as you get into this world of sexual rape and abuse, of course, there is that, a physical abuse, the choking, the strangling, and those are the allegations at Zorro Ranch. This is a video of Epstein's Zorro Ranch. Let's pop this up. So as you can see, it is incredibly isolated. There was no investigation into all of this. And we know from Jeffrey Epstein's island, just how bizarre it was, the dental chair and all of the testimony from the girls. This ranch sits high in the desert of central New Mexico, encompassing over 7,600 acres. The compound featured long private drive access with a gated entry, an enclosed residential compound, and extensive on-site infrastructure. Epstein built a private airstrip and airplane hangar that allowed completely discreet access to the residents. Victims could be flown directly onto the property with no public exposure whatsoever. Zorro Ranch was the only property not raided by authorities. And you have a sitting congresswoman doing 60 Minutes Australia, because 60 Minutes United States has been captured by Barry Weiss, the absolute diabolical, evil fascist. So she wouldn't cover this. And we have a congresswoman on record who has spoken to victims of gang rape at this ranch. Pumps.
What's important to know about Zorro Ranch is a former employee in 2019 sent a letter to the FBI that said girls had been killed. And we've seen this email in the Epstein files. Two Eastern European descent women were killed during violent rape fantasies. In 2019, they received that. When they went to investigate that, New York said, no, stop. We got it. We're doing something. And then when Epstein died in custody in August, they started to resume the investigation, and the Department of Justice intervened and said, no, we're not investigating. So that's where it stopped. is sitting there waiting for all this evidence to be obtained. And the thing is, when it got out that these allegations had been reported, the floodgates that we saw in Palm Beach of women and little girls, or women, then little girls who were raped and trafficked locally, that exploded. But there was no investigation. And that all happened in 2019. And I don't need to tell you who was president. I also want to remind everybody, Merrick Garland should have done a better job with this too. But it's just, it is one cover up after another that's been going on for decades.
And Hector Balderas, the former New Mexico Attorney General who tried to investigate Zorro Ranch, shared more about how his investigation was shut down by the feds. Let's play the clip.
The FBI knew but did nothing about the extraordinary allegation 2 young women had been killed and buried near the Zorro Ranch.
To see that they sat on so many tips and didn't involve us to strengthen their investigation is very concerning. When there's a tip about dead bodies, the feds completely did a disservice by not sharing that information with us. In light of the fact that we had an agreement, and in light of the fact that we have communication indicating that we want to aggressively co-prosecute, and even in my first 2019 letter, I indicate that we are willing to co-prosecute co-conspirators.
It's just stunning. It is absolutely stunning, and a total indictment on anybody who says they are a MAGA Christian. Mm-hmm. Anybody who says they are a MAGA Christian, I want to say it over and over and over again until it resonates. MAGA and MAGA Christians are an anti-family, anti-child death cult. Full stop. Their policies lead to that. Their actions lead to that. Pam Bondi and Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and all of these, little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, they can get on the airwaves all they want to and Bible thump and Trump thump until the cows come home. At the end of the day, these are brazen, diabolical hypocrites that support child rape, cover up for child rape, because MAGA is an anti-family, pro-pedophilia death cult. There's an Epstein survivor, Shantae Davies, who was abused at the ranch, and she shared shocking claims about what she witnessed. Let's play the clip.
But there were also other terrifying and bizarre accounts shared with her by other victims.
Girls waking up in sort of like a dark room with like a female doctor standing over them, feeling like maybe there is some kind of procedure that had happened that they weren't aware of. And I believe this is in the files. Sure, there's something in there about a baby actually being born and then just disappearing, like Ghislaine taking it.
If you're a new nursing grad taking the next generation NCLEX, then I want you to watch this quick video because I'm going to show you how to pass on your very first attempt using NCLEX Bootcamp so you won't need to stress about these bow tie questions. First, you're going to come here and click the start for free. This will allow you to create an account. Once you've done that, you're going to click here and download our study schedule. This basically outlines what you need to study on what day. You're then going to come to our next gen strategy.
And these Republicans, these MAGA Christians, are talking about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. Why? Because she knows that Trump and several members of his cabinet and all of these oligarchs that have bent the knee to Trump, that are the parasites that suck off the American taxpayer and find loopholes, they're all in the Epstein files. They're all in it. It is just horrific. And here is a New Mexico state lawmaker speaking out about how she's fighting for transparency. Let's play the clip.
The news that came through the release of the files that there had been bodies buried at Zorro Ranch was all news to us. And that really sent a shockwave of concern through our communities that how has this never been resolved? How do we know whether or not this had ever been investigated or closed?
In response to the discovery of the disturbing email, New Mexico State Representative Andrea Romero is spearheading a specially formed Truth Commission to investigate the startling allegations, as well as why the FBI kept them secret back in 2019.
And then never prosecuted anything in New Mexico. They never did an investigation at the time that he was in operations here. It's hard for me to see that any justice was done.
And then survivors, again, like Shantae Davis, aren't convinced at all that there will ever be any accountability because I want to say this again and again. All of these Republicans right now that have all of these grievances, they have the presidency, they have the House, they have the Senate, they have all of the governmental agencies, they have the Supreme Court, they have everything. They have fucking everything. And they're still not happy. And they are in the throes of covering up child rape and alleged murder and gang rape because MAGA Christians are lying liars. They weaponize their faith against everyday Americans to steal money to protect elite pedophiles. That's just the fact of the matter. So let's listen to Shantae Davies.
I really wish I could say yes. I would love to have faith and hope in anything at this point, but no. No, I don't. I mean, whoever it is that is covering up, whatever it is that they're covering up, has gone to great lengths to make sure it stays covered up. No, I don't think there will ever be a full disclosure of it all.
So that opportunity, in your view, has been lost.
Yes.
Okay. And it gets worse. It gets worse, you guys. The property has been bought by a Trump-endorsed Republican running for statewide office in Texas. Let's pop this up. The family of Don Huffines, a former Republican Texas senator who is now campaigning to become the state's comptroller, bought the disgraced Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico.
All right, y'all. So I'm just listening to all of this. My dogs are fighting, but I'm listening to all of this, and I'm just really curious. I'm wondering, like, oh my God, I don't know how much we need to know, how much we need to hear. Like, how there's nothing more for me that I need to know or hear about this madness that's been going on, right, with this Epstein stuff. And I think it is so disgusting because, people have now gotten into a position where they have the power to try and sweep the stuff under the rug and make it go away. And I'm sorry, you don't get to do that. I don't care what position of power you're in. This is disgusting. And guess what? You will be held accountable. Each and every one of you. If anybody was involved in any of that, or you participated in any of that, yeah, you're going to be held accountable. And you think maybe you can slither and slime away from the law, but guess who you can't slither and slime away from? The Creator. And that's in my personal opinion. What do you think about some of this, Imani?
Well, yeah, I think I don't want to really go to sleep with the rest with that on my mind. I think the key, I mean, the visions that I've got in my mind. The key thing is that Epstein ran a global transportation actual operation. It's undisputed. Ghislaine Maxwell is serving time, correct? Undisputed. Survivors have spoken out and given their experiences, and they've been documented. But when it comes to things like this Zorro Ranch, the problem is finding evidence that may have been removed, buried, destroyed from years ago. And the key thing everybody wants is transparency. We know that people were abused. We know that he transported people, and the people that are most important in this situation are the victims, and justice, and that the truth comes out. The problem is that we have so many people trying to wriggle out of this. Conveniently for them, Epstein is not here, but there is somebody who is here who probably will only speak if she's given the right deal. And it will depend on what happens with her going forward. There are too many people in high powered positions that are involved in this. And unfortunately, and I'll say it from the the point of view that when we had the Jimmy Savile situation in the UK, and many of the politicians like Cyril Smith, Ted Heath, and others who were accused of these things, and even I think Leon Britton, one of the chancellors, I can't remember. Most of these people, their sins and their misdeeds only come out after they normally have passed away. That is the problem here. The problem is that it was a global network, a global network. There are too many people that were involved in this that have a lot of power. I think there are some people that have reached high positions of power that people didn't think were involved in this, that have been fired, or, they're facing justice in their own countries. There's only one person who's not facing any justice. And I don't think people expected him to be in that position. But I don't believe that people didn't know that he was involved in all of this. I just don't think they thought he was going to be in the position he is in now. But I do think it's important to get justice for the victims. And that's the most I can say, because I don't want to, people are making this so salacious, and it's horrible, it's disgusting. And I just hope that the victims and their families get justice. And that's all I can really say about this, because I don't, there's nothing more to be said for me, from my perspective.
Yes. And I agree. I agree with everything you said, right? The salaciousness of it all, the content of it all, it being some type of big story that keeps getting dragged on and on and on. And, for the entertainment purposes, and not from the platform that I'm playing or the platforms that we play on this channel, because these are the people that are actually doing the proper work and actually, speaking and bringing it to the forefront and telling people exactly how serious the situation is. And it's nothing to be played with or be able to skate away from, your involvement in it. I'm sorry, you have involvement in it, but because you hold a certain power or a certain level at this time, you can move and shift things around, and not just your favor, but the favor of people that are your friends and in your in crowd. And I just think that's disgusting, because the people who really need to be heard and really need justice, it seems as though they're going silenced, or they're being silenced, because of how they're playing this nasty game. So every time I see when people are exposing it the same way that I would do so, I'm gonna bring that to my platform, and I'm gonna bring that to the forefront, because it needs to be talked about in that way, and it needs to be shown for exactly how disgusting and despicable it is. And like we said, the law will do what the law will do, and in my personal opinion, the creator will do what the creator will do as well. So you don't get to slip free of those things. You're gonna get it on one end or the other. It's only a matter of time. It's disgusting work. But let's play just a little bit more of this video, and then we'll wrap this live up. We're hitting the 4-hour mark, okay? So we're going to end it, y'all. I know it's been a little bit long. Thank you for rocking with us. Let's play just a little bit more of Jennifer and Pumps, and then we'll get up out of here.
After the child sex trafficker and molester died. 4 years after Mr. Epstein's death, the Huffines family purchased property in New Mexico listed at public auctions whose proceeds benefited his victims. Prior to the auction listing, they had never visited the property. Huffing's campaign spokesperson, Alan Blakemore, said in a statement Friday, they'd never visited it. In a Trump donor and supporter and endorsed politician buys this. It's just crazy. And here's, before I get Pump's take on this, it's just, I want to emphasize this again. If you know a MAGA Christian, they are a hypocritical liar to their core. Pop this up. The owner of the late Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch emphasized in a Tuesday interview he bought the property to convert it into a Christian retreat. It's really a nothing burger. Don Huffines, a Texas businessman and politician, said in an event hosted by the Texas Tribune when asked why he bought the ranch, "We decided to buy it and turn a place of darkness into a place of light. It's as simple as that," he told the Texas Tribune editor-in-chief Matthew Watkins in the interview, which was streamed online. And this is a textbook example of what I have deemed Christian signaling. He is saying, oh, now this space is totally okay because I'm going to make it a Christian center. This isn't a man who is standing up for victims. This is not a man standing up for little boys and little girls that were gang and choked and buried, allegedly buried on the property. This is a man who is protecting pedophiles. Pumps, just played a bunch of stuff there. Give me your takes on all of this. I know you follow this closely.
Well, when I saw that he said he's going to turn it into a Christian retreat, I was like, well, of course you are. That's exactly what you're going to do with it. There is a 2-lane road around this property. That is the only way you can access it. So my thought would be, so you're going to take little girls and women.
My heart's fine.
And they are going to be as helpless and not able to leave as the Epstein victims. That's what my thought was. That's my opinion. I just think a remote location like that, this truth committee formed by this by this New Mexico state representative, they're supposed to give some findings by July 31st. I think that my first thought was, oh, we're going to find the bodies. There's going to be murder charges. I doubt that that's going to happen because of the, 7,500 acres, and they've gone over the land, but they have to determine how deep. I mean, I feel like it's too vast to find that, which is disappointing, but I cannot stress enough how these women were so isolated. They had nowhere to go. On the island, they had nowhere to go. One of the most moving photos for me was a girl sitting on the beach, like her view. There was nowhere. There was no help. There was no way out. And this Shanti Davis, later in the interview, she said that Jeffrey Epstein told her when she found out he was doing the same thing to her sister, her little sister. She said, "I'm leaving." And he said, "I will ruin your life." She said, "I was young. I thought, no, I'm going to right this wrong." And she said, in retrospect, I realize he was right. And that just tells me that's how these survivors feel. The government is pushing back. The elites are pushing back. It's been called a hoax. They have been demonized. And they have been given, throughout the course of this investigation, zero support because these men are white and they are rich. And we as an American society are saying we value white men with money more than we value you and your innocence and your childhood. It's so disturbing.
All right, y'all. So I have to end it there. I hate to do it, but if you guys want to finish listening to that entire podcast and conversation with Jennifer and Pumps over on I've Had It, y'all please go over there and check out their channel because they're really dope. They give me life because they say the things that I want to say and they say it in the way that I want to say it, but they keep it real. And so I did want to go ahead and just, end that because I know that can be quite triggering to listen to sometimes. And I don't want to trigger anybody because I know people have probably been through this, but it's just, we have these elites and these people who feel like they have power and they have money. They feel as though they can get away with doing these things to people and that the survivors and the victims don't matter. And that, yes, I'm going to say my phrase, that's the nasty work of it all. And we have gotten about sick of it and we're tired of it. But there are people, there are groups, there are things that are happening in the works to fight against it, to help aid and assist individuals who've been through these things, prevent people from going through that, and give people a platform and a voice to speak and tell, their story and their experience. And just believe that these creeps, these sickos that are doing these type of things, you will be dealt with. Not maybe in this life, maybe in the next life, Maybe not by the courts, maybe by the creator. And woo-hoo-hoo. If the creator comes for you, I think you should be more scared of that than the courts. And that's all I got to say to that. And I'm going to calm down and I'm going to let Imani say some of her final words. And we'll wrap this live up. I'm going to play and, per usual, end us out with a bop, uplifting bop at that. And, that's it. Yeah. So what do you think, Imani?
I had my say on the Epstein stuff. The only thing I like to say is just check out some of the people we use for our resources, like Midas Touch, Roland Martin. They've all got great information. You can get the latest up-to-date legal stuff, political stuff, voting stuff, anything you want. And there's other stuff that they have there that's of interest. You can get stuff on the economics. And I just wish you all a really wonderful weekend. And I hope that you have a wonderful time with your whatever you do, whether it's friends, families, boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever it is, wives, husbands, grandchildren, whoever. Have a great weekend. And thank you for spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Imani, for joining me and kicking it with me for all of this time, girl, because you know I can talk. But I love these segments and we will continue to do them. Thank you so much for weighing in and giving your expertise on a lot of the topics that we discussed this evening. And just like Imani said, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Spend that time with someone you love. Spend that time with people that are close to you, your family, your friends, your significant other. Have you some fun, okay? Laugh till your belly hurts. Eat until you go to sleep. I ain't trying to convince somebody to overeat. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like, have good times out there, okay? There's too much going on in this world. There's too much going on in life. And if you got a chance to snatch and grab a piece of happiness and fun and good time, do it. Do it and live it to the fullest and enjoy it. But thank y'all so much for rocking with us on this live, y'all. This is Politics with Golden and Imani. I hope y'all come back and join us on the next one. That is all we got for today, y'all. Happy Friday. Happy weekend to all. And we will speak to y'all very soon on the next session. All right, y'all. Per usual, I'm going to go ahead and end it with a bop. And I will talk to you guys soon. Golden out. Bye.
Gloria in excelsis. Miracle is coming, yeah, that's a safe bet. From the impossible to the